Today is Thursday, it's July the 26th. This is both a public hearing and a regular meeting of the Port of the Islands Community Improvement District. We should show that we have a quorum here this morning, and I believe that Ms. Hanson is on the Zoom call. Is that correct, Dave?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, additionally, Lisa is not here, but we will begin, as is your custom, with the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. With that, let me just mention one additional thing. There's will be an add-on. We're going to approve the regular meeting agenda separately, but I have distributed to the board an application to file a community development block grant, and we provided you with a separate handout on that, and I'll deal with that at the appropriate time. Because this is the budget hearing. I'm sorry, you talking to me?
Lisa.
I'm sorry.
I'm here.
Okay, she is there.
Can't see me?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
All right.
Is that Lisa?
Yes.
That was Annalisa. Okay. All right, let me send you a request.
What about Sager?
That's what I'm asking.
He's working on something.
Lisa Sager, are you on?
She's trying to learn how to unmute. Give me 1 second.
All right, so she may be by phone.
Okay, so 11 more.
Let's give her just a second if we can.
Yeah.
I'm unmuted. I hit unmute.
There you are.
Can you see me?
Yes.
No.
No.
Go ahead and turn on your video. It should be the icon right next to the microphone.
Okay.
There you
Good.
go.
All right. Very good. The entire board is here. Sorry, Lisa, we couldn't tell that you were on when we convened the meeting. So just as part of the opening of the public hearing, I'm going to review two things. I'm going to review where we are with the budget, and then I have also given the board members a little separate handout from your most recent methodology update, and the summary is attached on the second page. And then I've attached some of my notes that I want to walk through to get a little direction on, frankly, what, if any, of the methodology revisions that the board wants to incorporate into the final budget.
Should we add the 2 board members by Zoom?
Yeah, as part of convening the public hearing, Zach would like to entertain a motion to recognize and allow the 2 board members to participate via Zoom, citing extraordinary circumstances. Can we get a motion to that effect?
I'll make a motion that we allow it.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. So the budget does not represent an increase in the non-ad valorem assessment. That has been consistent since we first workshopped this back in May. So the total general fund budget is $910,105. The rate for the special assessment, $815,105. And the separate utility budget, that again does not include an assessment this year, it is rate driven, is $1,443,300 in the utility fund. So at your May meeting, the board received the presentation for the methodology assessment review. And there were several categories that are all depicted on the schedule on the next page. I just want to review these quickly so they're part of the record. The consultant was asked to look at split residential lots, both the 1.5 lots in the community as well as the double lots. Both of them historically have received 1 ERU. In addition, he was asked to evaluate the underlying base number of units per acre for the community as it affects commercial. We got into quite an analysis pertaining to boat slips, and he was asked to look at both the liveaboard slips as well as the recreational or water-only slips, and for the first time to evaluate a new rate for commercial slips that are in the community, either involving what I call eco tours or backcountry fishing charters, but for which somebody would need to have a commercial occupational license. And then to affirm both the existing rates for the hotel, condos, and the gun club. So, in order to prepare the final budget and the assessment roll, I have made some notes to myself on the next page there so that I could tell you that for the actual changes for the split lots and the dock and the commercial slips, let me just walk you through this and then see what questions that you might have. The current total number of ERUs in the community are 1,130.11. That works out to the assessment for both the current year as well as the proposed assessment for next year that remains unchanged to $721.26 per unit.
Okay, wait a sec, hold on. The current ERUs are 1130,
Yes,
and what are those ERUs? Those are residences?
those are everything. That's the total sum value of all of the
Vacant, everything?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm glad you asked that question. So that then generates my general fund revenue of $815,105. So let's look at then the actual changes as recommended by the consultant, and then we can stop and discuss each one, or I can go through here and then we can come back. So on the split lots, there are a total of 8. There are 2 1.5 lots. And then there are 6 double lots that currently exist in the community. And Russ's recommendation was to actually reflect a 1.5 ERU value for the 1.5 lots and a 2 ERU value for the double lots. And I have calculated out then what the additional revenue would be because we're increasing the total number of ERUs in that case by 7. Just for the split lots. On the docks, based off of the original submittal that was made to the board in a technical memo that I found, the residential or water-only docks are classified on the B and D docks. And so if the board were to lower from 1 ERU to the recommendation of 0.25 ERUs per dock for the water-only docks, you can see that results in a decrease in ERUs of 13.75 and a decrease in revenue to the general fund of $29,752.
Question on that. Are we going to discuss the B and D docks? Because I think it's D docks, there's a lot of commercial.
I'm coming to that.
Okay.
The commercial allocation, and initially when I spoke to the dock master some months ago, I guess there are 4 major commercial entities. Our former chairman has done some additional research, and with the cooperation of the Marina Condominium, they are now telling me there are a total of 15 commercial entities, either eco tours or fishing guides, or the one big, I guess it's referred to as the pontoon type, just sightseeing boat. So there are potentially 15 commercial uses of the docks. And so,
Do some of those have more than one slip?
I don't know that.
Because they told me every slip over there D dock was commercial,
Commercial,
when I talked to them yesterday.
B is in what?
D is in
D,
dog,
okay, all right. Well, we'll-
28 slips.
Okay.
They do 7 or 8, the low man of people in Smyrna.
I don't know, I know it's multiple.
So based off of the initial information I had received, that there were 4, I calculated what the change in the 0.85 dock space would be for commercial. I have recalculated just now, if in fact there are more than 4 and there are 15, the impact of that would be an additional reduction of units by a function of like another 11, and then that has also some revenue drain, because if we're going from 1 ERU to 0.85 ERUs, that's going to result in a $9,196 reduction in assessment revenue.
But you're only doing it times 15, why don't you do it times 28 slips?
But he says 15, the dock master told me 5, and now somebody has told you, no, it's all 28.
My recommendation here is that this needs to be based on a publicly verifiable document, which I think your manager suggested was the commercial, the business licenses from the county. The county issues local business tax receipts to all businesses, and because I would not recommend the district making sort of its own judgment calls as to whether this is commercial. There are filed documents from the county.
Yeah, but then you're doing the same thing. It's like a 1.5 lot or 2 lot. We're charging them now for 2, and if one of those businesses owns 7 slips, we're only gonna charge them once?
No, we would
No,
know,
we're
we
charging
would
by
know
the
how
slip.
many slips they have. We would, the business tax receipts include an address. So if one business has 7 slips, they have 7 slips, and we know that they're all commercial. My point is, determining what's a business, we need to use some sort of verifiable record. When we do the double lots and the 1.5 lots, the Collier County Property Appraiser maintains these records, so we don't
Right.
make a judgment.
Okay, but then you're doing what I'm saying you're doing. If it verifies that there's 7 lit, then you're gonna have 28
Sure.
commercial lots.
We're agreeing.
So then use that as your base instead of 15.
I'm not saying we should use them.
For the
twice.
budgeting.
Seawall's a couple more.
There's 4 over there. Which seawall?
The one right by the marina.
Oh, I don't know. But I'm just telling you, you're making an assumption on 15, why don't we go higher? I know it's a revenue source, but it's what it's supposed to be.
One final little wrinkle. When I contacted the tax collector and the occupational license division, while they require a business address, there's no correlation for the dock space that they might occupy. So I'm not going to get a occupational license that says I'm dock B slip 15. We're going to have to do some further research, and it's going to need to be verifiable. My suggestion for the final budget adoption is, until we can reconcile all of that, perhaps we keep it at 1 and then issue credits in the new fiscal year and reimburse people for the 15/10 of whatever value is charged on the way back. And again, because we're going to, if this gets contested, we're going to have to be able to have some sort of source document that is an occupational license that we can reconcile against the actual slip in the marina.
May I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I was asked to find out about the slips, and the 15 that I came up with, I got from Mike, the DAP master, yesterday.
Right.
You got the 28 from
His
someone
secretary.
else, so there's obviously a conflict there. My issue with the 0.85 is, if we're gonna, right now we're slated to keep the liveaboards at a 1, and we're gonna charge commercial docks a 0.85.
Yeah.
We've got one slip over there that has an 80 passenger pontoon boat in it.
Right.
And we're gonna charge them less than we're gonna charge a liveaboard.
I agree.
And the thing of it is, these guys are gonna bring a lawsuit against us if we keep that 1 on liveaboards. Just saying, you choose to do however you want with it, but that's what they're gonna do.
Yeah.
But what my problem is with the commercial right now going to a 0.85, it has less impact than a liveaboard boat.
I don't think anybody would disagree
So we asked Russ that the day he was in here. That's one of the questions we asked.
His rationale is based off of limited trip generation to include the captain or, and other staff. But to Steve's point, common sense would tell you that, a couple who are living on a liveaboard boat here are not going to generate near the trip generation that a commercial eco-tour is.
My recommendation on this, so at the August meeting, when the final adoption happens, I'd recommend inviting Russ to be at that meeting. It is critical that we have basis to support the decision. We've had this discussion with Russ, this was raised with Russ, and it needs to be further raised with Russ, or we need to bring some kind of additional document to that meeting to review to make this determination, is my advice.
Okay, well,
Hello?
go ahead.
I'm working with the engineer on these numbers also, so.
Sure. Bringing our engineer is a great way to do this.
And I think he's got a pretty good handle on it. And yeah, we're gonna spend the money, Russ, but let's get it done once and for all. We'll know how many units we have, what they are, and what the points should be.
Will the engineer be able to bring that to the August meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
I want to have a meeting a couple weeks before the regular meeting so that we can go over it with the board and talk about it and hash it out so that when we go to the August board meeting, we can just accept it.
That makes sense to me.
Okay, the other thing is, all right, if we all agree that the liveaboards are too high, right? We went to 1, we jumped them from 0.4 to 1 last time. So what is that? 2.5? So we could always, we can reduce them. Yeah.
I feel we should reduce the liveaboards and increase the commercial.
But we don't have anything to back the commercial
Well,
up
that's
right
what
now.
she's working on.
Right. But I think we should reduce the liveaboards to 0.5,
What are you gonna do with the condos then?
0.8. When we get to the water bills, I reworked everything based on basically the same thing that's going on here.
So you're gonna be back to what we had.
Well, this is,
Back with a 1.0, a 0.8.
yes. Dorms are gonna be 0.5. Anything less than 500 square feet are gonna be 0.5. There's 72 of them out here.
But we're gonna get into that argument now, and I really.
I understand the argument that they have a utility, they pay 1, but it's just, I went through everything with different numbers. There was a wastewater and water review that we had done, and 6/7/24 was printed. It's got a wastewater and total budget for water and wastewater of 1.9 million. He's telling us 1.4. Okay, we get all these reviews and they're not matching up. So I figured out every single unit. I went in AI, it says we have 809 billable units. Now some of those billables coming from uni are multiple. All right, so I went around and I counted every condo. I counted every, these other dorm room things. I counted 72. Anyway, that's what Yolanda comes up with too. Same number I did, 72. Counted the boat slips. I counted the condos at 502. And by the time I went through everything, and 13 for the, it's all the same as this operation and maintenance. Hotel had 13 rooms. Dorm rooms, 72. Condos, multifamily residence, that's Stella Maris and all that, 502. Liveaboard, 120. Commercial slips, 28, which is Doc B. Doc B was 27. Single family residence, 167, and I added, it was 165, but I added 2, one for the marina and one for the fire department, just to get to that. So when I figure out all these billable units, right, it comes out to 708 based on my total, which is 929. Those are 929 residences. Okay, not meters, but residences. The system says there's only 809. according to AI. Whether AI is correct or not, it probably is not, because it talked about us being under ad valorem and blah, 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 blah. But anyway, I worked these all out based on those rates. And when we get to the water rates, that's why I'm concerned. The lowest rate I came down to for base rate for everybody, even with these things at 0.25 and 0.5 and 0.85, is $164 a month based on a $1.6 million. So I guess I'm off track here, but the O&Ms, I think we need to treat them. It's consistent if we do the O&Ms this way, and then we do the water meters this way, and then you have to work backwards. You say that everything has to be represented. We don't even know what water meters go with what account. Does that make any sense? How can we do that? You didn't know that, did you?
I think the engineer is working on that too, Russ.
Yeah, nobody called me too. He told me the engineer was going to call me, and I never got a call.
He will. He got a little bit behind with the holiday, but he is going to contact you. I would think probably in the next week. Everybody took the holiday off.
Because right now I'm still busy, but when I retire, it's going to get worse.
Let's go back and see if we can coalesce where the board might want to be headed so that we can reflect some of these changes. Is there general agreement or consensus that for the split lots, that the board is supportive of the recommendation to go up from 1 to 1.5 or 2, depending on the lot category?
The only question I have with that is I don't mind the 1.5, 0.2, but we have an issue of some of them haven't been paying for that extra lot, and we said, okay, we must have gotten that ERC back. We talked about that when Steve was on the board. What happened to that ERC they weren't paying for?
I'm talking ERUs just for the moment, the general fund.
Okay, but
There's those terms again.
it's kind of tied in a way, so if we go to 1.5 and we start billing them for that, right? Is that there? Is it gone?
The assessment methodology, starts now. The assessment methodology is you all taking your operation and maintenance budget and choosing how to fairly allocate it across the users of your system. It is not tied to their utility capacity because it's not for that budget. So you're taking, every year you sit down and figure out, here's how much money we're going to spend on O&M, and here's how we're going to split up.
Yeah, that's not what I'm talking about. Okay, so we don't really have ERCs other than calculating what our plant puts out and whatever, okay? So when you talk about a 1.5 lot, some of them combine their lots and they were paying 1. So our question was back then when they were only paying for the 1 on their lot and not anything else, right? What happened to that? At that time it was an ERC. Now it's our base rate, all right? But at that time, what happened to that? Now if we start charging them, they haven't paid in years on that extra ERC, and we assume that we took those back because they weren't paying for it.
But this conversation is about the ERUs, right? That's what we're
I'm going there. It's totally attached.
Okay.
All right. So now if we start charging 1.5 and 2, which I have no problem with, except the fact that we're giving them back. If they pay 1.5 now, they have 1.5. If they combine with their neighbors with their 2.5s, they'd have 1. They won't have to buy a hookup or anything. They won't have to. It's there. We're giving it back to them now. If they didn't pay for years, it's like, okay, well, we're just giving it back to them. Is that what we're going to do?
We're not. My opinion is you're not giving them anything on the utility side. This is an allocation of operation and maintenance budget and does not impact this. And this is specifically decided by the board when it amended its rules and procedures to decouple the two.
I disagree. I agree with him. What about the 2-unit one? We were only charging 1, right?
We were.
So he's picking up a whole RC, which is worth $16,000.
They went how many years without paying a dime? We took that ERC back, which is
this is the ERU system that we're talking about.
The same thing.
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing. We've been doing this for how many years?
So we gave it to them,
Right. I get you.
And we said that that the board assumed that we got those back because they weren't paying for it any longer. We didn't make them pay for it, and they weren't paying for it. So that became one of our extra ERCs that were there. Okay, now for the bulk of this stuff, an ERC is basically a base rate now. Okay, so if you charge them 1.5 base rates, you're giving it back to them. I just want the board to know that that's what we're doing. We're just saying, well, you didn't pay for years and good for you, you're getting it back.
Well, that's a point. Hey, we had the boats at 0.4. We increased them to 1. Where'd the 0.6 come from? Nobody paid for anything.
But this is my point, that the ERUs.
I know, but this is for budgeting, I understand that.
No, but
That's a confusion that everything
But
causes.
thank you for that question real quickly, Mike, because we didn't find things to give to the boat docks. We reassessed them based off of their impact. And so the boat docks weren't given new things. They were reassessed for the ERU concept that was decoupled from the ERC. And so for the same reason that when we say we reduced the 1.5 lots to 1, we didn't take those and give them to the boats to bring them up to 1, and the numbers don't line up. Whereas if you have a consultant who provides an O&M methodology that figures out how to allocate your spend in that category only, not the utility category, as fairly as an impact. And that's what this is, and that's what you're deciding to change. And that's what we have been sued about before, is how do we allocate benefit? And previously, you would allocate benefit by tying it directly to the ERCs. That's what was challenged. It was not substantively ruled on at the court, but you did prevail in the lawsuit.
Okay, so I know where you're going, I get that, but that's what causes the confusion in this community,
Sure.
okay? That's why we have to try and make everything homogeneous, everything's gotta work together.
And my understanding of the board's solution to the confusion was by moving away from a non-ad valorem utility billing system and going to a base rate plus gallonage. That significantly reduces confusion as to how the utility system works. And then it just leaves this thing out here because you don't have ad valorem taxing authority to figure out how to assess the rest of your budget.
Next
Yeah.
project.
Hang on, yeah.
Just to clarify,
Stay on the red X, would you, buddy?
the ERC, yeah, Steve Mackin.
Say your name.
The ERCs that were originally on properties like that you're talking about, unless there was an action by the board removing those, they're still there. You can't just say, well, we assumed we took them back or something like that. No, they're still there.
So that was a question we had when we discussed this before. What happened to those, right?
They're still there.
And if they're still there, they just got a free ride for years.
Exactly.
But that's distinct from the ERUs. So if the 0.5 is still there, it's still there. But what we're talking about for the O&M budget is how you're going to allocate the O&M budget. So it doesn't matter if the ERC is there or not.
You slice the pie. Okay, so what are we agreeing about?
I'm trying to get to see if there is a consensus to adjust these 8 lots. We've got 2 1.5s, and I've got 6 double lots. And the recommendation is to increase the ERU value by 0.5 on the 1.5 lots and by an additional 1 for a total of 2 ERUs for a double lot.
I make the motion.
You can leave it the way that it is, but if you're prepared to make a motion just to try and work these off, that will be helpful.
I make the motion.
You make the motion to
accept it.
accept it as 1.5.
So
Yes.
just to be clear, so we're going to a final hearing where the whole thing will be adopted.
Yeah.
This is just.
I'm trying to get some authorization to amend the tax roll to coincide with the final adoption.
Okay, so it's a motion for that purpose, but we're not actually adopting it.
No, we're not.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. The next category
Oh,
then.
wait a minute. Same category, same deal. What are we doing with the liverboards? Are we moving them
the
to
next-
point? Oh, is that what you're gonna say?
I-
All right.
Docks are there.
That was just
The current recommendation of your economist consultant is to keep liveaboards at 1, water only recreational slips at 0.25, and a new category that needs further analysis to identify commercial slips that would drop down from a 1 to a 0.85 based off of limited trip generation justification.
wouldn't be in favor of that because I agree that the commercial is getting a steal on that. When they bring in as many people as they bring in a day. So a condo has, I think it's 9 trips, right? This condo, I think Russ.
House 9.
House has 9,
Yeah.
my condo is
I don't know, maybe
9 or 7. All right, I myself never run 9 trips out of my condo a day. There isn't a day that I run 9 times in and out with the vehicle. All right, these boats come in one trip, they bring 4, 6, 8 on the Manatee boats. The big boat brings how many? 70,
60 to 80.
Yeah, 60 to 80 people on that boat. Trips in and out per hour or hour and a half or whatever his trip is. Right? That generates way more trips. And this is what we told Russ the last time we had a meeting. The trip generation from the commercials is way higher than any residential unit. And we felt at that time that 0.85 wasn't justified, and here it is again. So we're back to that same.
I have a question. How many boats do we have that have 80 passengers on it? I mean, we have much more. So what about the other ones, the smaller ones? What do they generate?
They generate 4, 6, average probably, not counting the people that run it, just the customers, probably 4 or 6 a trip.
So
On this point, I don't know what the right answer is, but when we do the final hearing, if you're going to disagree with Russ, there needs to be something my recommendation is that you submit something into the record that explains, like a written piece into the record that explains why you do not agree with him. I understand the point, if trip generation is what he's looking at, and so if you think his trip generation information is incorrect, if you think that we need to go hire a traffic engineer or something else, we need to do it quickly, but based on very clear communications from the dock folks, and it's my advice to you that the not following the consultant needs to be provided with written supported material for that hearing, which is the August hearing. So we're talking about it now, we're trying to get to consensus, but something needs to be provided.
Or leave it at 1 until there's supporting justification to take it to 5. And because if we're going to get sued, we need to have in the record technical.
Steve, just offhand, when we talked to him a year or 2 ago, there was a number, he said, of customers he serves a year or something.
18,000 is what?
18,000 a year.
Is what the management idea.
Again, I'm not arguing with you, and I'm really willing to believe that. I think what Chair Hansen's question was logical, which is this is a rule that applies to all commercial, not just one, and so there's a certain amount of averaging happening, and regardless of whether this number is wrong, my suggestion is it not be anecdotal, that it be something in the record, but it's your call at the end of the day, but given the somewhat clear communication we received that this will be challenged, my recommendation to protect the district is that there be something in the record that is some kind of trip count information. For example, the Institute of Traffic Engineers maintains a book called the ITE Manual, and it has suggested trip counts for almost every use imaginable. If that document contradicts what Russ did, that would be worth noting. However, my suspicion is that is the document that Russ used to prepare this, and that's why I think if we're going to do, certainly Russ should come to that final hearing. If it's possible, if we're doing an intermediate meeting, depending on how much we get done today, I would have him at that meeting, because I will say I was somewhat disappointed that Russ at the last meeting was only available for 30 minutes or something along those lines. I sympathize. We need to have this discussion in full, and there needs to be either a statement from him that he's supporting it or contradicting information in the record.
maybe both. Maybe we need to put a trip counter at that parking lot.
And if your engineer, if Johnson, has their own analysis, great, let's put that in the record.
They don't, and I think that I'm not, and I won't speak for Russ, but he did combine some of his logic with, on the one hand, the big Echo tour, and on the other hand, 2 guys who had hired a guide to take them fishing. And so he's trying to take into account different commercial intensities and make some recommendation that he thinks that he can defend.
Well, I agree.
It seems clear to me that for the moment, though, no one on the board is supportive of lowering commercial from 1 to 0.85.
No,
Is that fair?
that's fair.
Yeah. So,
And I think
until we
Zach is right. We need, if we're going to change it, we just need the documentation. We need,
And I don't know that can occur in 30 days, but we'll just have to see. But there's no support on the board to lowering commercial intensity by that number.
no.
All right, let's have a further discussion then. Is the majority of the board, or is there consensus on the board to keep livable slips at the current 1? Because the recommendation is to keep them at 1.
I want to go back to 0.5. I think that's just not reasonable. And I want it to be congruent with what I'm doing with the water rates here, so, which I'll explain when we get to that.
I would not be in favor of that. They're liveaboards. They come and live here all season, just like the condos here. The people I talked to them back when we used to use the pool, they come and they spend their winter months, 3-4 months here at the condos. This used to be a resort. The whole thing was a big resort. It had multi-meters, it had commercial meters and things like that serve all these condo buildings. Right? And then when Shoe Cart divided this all up and split up the hotel and split up all the units, all right, they all became individual condo units. All right? They have their tax ID number and they're privately owned. Now the hotel has been buying a few of them up and they're up to quite a few now. But until they can put this whole thing together and shift it back to the commercial, I think their individual livable units, no difference in the both in my condo than the neighbor's condo. I don't think it matters. When you turn your water on, when you come here to stay for 3 months, you turn the faucet on.
That's not what we're paying for now. We're used to it.
Okay, but I'm just saying, you're on the use thing or whatever.
Yeah.
All right, but anyway, it's there. It's there for them. They have water, sewer. It works. They can live here. I don't know how you can divvy up. You can say my condo is so many square feet, but the one over there is only 1,200. The one over there is 1,400, and these are 900. The fact is that the people come here and live there. All right, and my wife and I don't use any more water and sewer than the people that live in one of these condos, unless we have company. And if we have company, we pay the bill. We pay the water bill, the usage bill, because it went up because we have company. But I'm saying that the fact that they can come here and live here, and it's not what it used to be when it was all one unit commercial. And now you're trying to say that we're going to say, okay, it's individual living units, and now you're going to take it down to a 0.5, and I'm at a 1 on my condo, and you're going to say, that's the way it should be. I cannot agree to that. Again, if they buy this place up and they put it back under one business, and we're back to commercial use meters where we say we have a 2-inch meter and it serves 8 or whatever, and that's the rate they get, that's the rate they get. It's a commercial thing, but it's not that, and neither are the boat docks. All right, they sold all those docks out separately, and they park a house there for the season or whatever. I mean, most of the condos here, whether they're condos on land or water, most of the people aren't here year-round. It's pretty much the same thing. They come and go. My neighbors, they do 4 7-day or 8-day trips here a year, and that's it. That's all that's all they use their condo for. So if you look at the boats and say, well, they're not here all year, well, neither are a lot of other people. All right? If they can come here and live here and have water and sewer, then it should be I think you're getting into a really touch and go thing when you start going 5.6.
Can I say something? Can I? Well, if that's the case, we need to raise the water rates and lower the O&M rates.
Right.
I mean, does that make sense to anybody else? Yeah. I mean, because then
when we get to the water, we'll talk about the water. Right now, I do not have a good argument against what Dan is saying about O&Ms.
May I one more
If I
thing?
just really quick.
Sorry.
Hold on a second. For just Neil, to that comment, the water rates are funding an enterprise system, and this is funding the operation and maintenance of the district.
Correct.
So these funds don't, raising the water rate doesn't create money.
Yeah, we're not to that yet.
Yeah, well, I just want to make sure it's clear that these are separate systems. I apologize.
I apologize too. I'm trying to save you guys from a lawsuit. Here's the thing. Special assessments must be, not can be or any other thing, must be based on benefits received by that property. We're picking and choosing what number we want to put on there without actually going through the process, saying how much stormwater runoff do you have, how much streets, how much landscaping, the whole process through. Is that liveaboard boat slip getting the exact benefit as my home is? It's not. I guarantee you it's not. And if you go into a lawsuit, you're going to lose. I'm telling you that right off the bat, you're going to lose. We went with these people, myself and Sullivan, a couple years ago, and that's when we came up with the 0.25 and the 5 on the liveaboards. And everybody was happy with it. These people over here were happy with it, whether you choose to like it or you disagreed with it. But we turned around then and we jumped it to a 1 the next year. I voted for that. I regretted it after the fact, and I tried to change it back. But I think it's a small number that we're giving up to go back to that 0.5. And in my opinion, we negotiated that with them, and it was fair. But what I'm telling you is, if you hold that number 1 on that liveaboard boat, you're going to lose.
Okay, there's my argument. I couldn't express
Well,
it like that, because I voted against the 1 last time.
What I would suggest is
They
this.
do not have a street.
There
Each one.
was a discussion on the record with your consultant when he brought this to you in April or May. And he explained how he got to the number that wasn't 1. It had to do something with I think the size of the lots and I believe it was the open water versus the yard piece. But if we need him to submit something in writing to explain that, we can ask that, or if we even be here to talk about that he needs to defend his methodology. And basically, so when you receive this from your consultant, what you're receiving is a document that says he's going to defend this in the trial. I know we'll be the party litigating it, but he's going to be an expert. He's going to be a witness, and he's going to defend what he's put in here. That's what he's saying when he signs this. And so, if it's not making sense, then we need to ask him more questions. If it's disagreed with, we need to bring evidence to the table.
Okay, so you're giving me the argument even more so now. Because what you're talking about is litigation, which you guys charge $400 an hour for, whatever it is. All right? I don't know what, cutting those little boards to 0.5, how much that's going to change. What's the dollar amount that's going to change if we change it to 0.5? There's 120 of them.
0.5 times 120.
Well, no, times
0.5 is $300 times 120. $350.
$350 what, per?
Times 120.
So that's what, for a year. So you're talking we're going to spend less in litigation if we go to that than $42,000. It's not worth it. Litigation costs.
What's the difference?
We
Why
get,
should not include in this area?
we're getting that. We're getting that.
This might jump on the bandwagon too.
So, yeah, okay. What I call the dorms, the less than 500 square foot units, they can jump on that too.
Briefly respond to that. I would not advise the board to make decisions because of the perception of litigation. The decisions should be made based on trying to get it correct. And so it's not that you have to blindly follow your expert. It's that if you don't agree with the expert, we need to just have a good record as to why you do not agree with the expert. And so, generally speaking, usually what that advice means is the expert is who you should defer to. And in fact, you guys, if you recall at the workshop, you didn't agree with his analysis of the 1.5 and the 2. He listened to you and he changed his approach on that. And so, you didn't just accept what the expert gave you. You pushed back, provided him reasons, and he revised his analysis. He did not revise his analysis as to road docks. So either we need to have another meeting quickly where we can talk to them about that, or more information needs to be provided. I'm only adding that because I don't think it's appropriate to just say, well, we're worried we're going to get sued, because if you're always going to get sued for some reason or another. I think the point is you need to get it right as best you can.
Correct me if I'm wrong, aren't some of these liveaboards the same liveaboards that have never paid for their ERC since 2018 that they were supposed to have?
Arguably, yeah. The increase when they expanded the marina.
Well, we'll get to that later too, right? Supposedly. I
Exactly.
only can be here till 12, so it's gonna be. This always goes on forever and ever. I mean, if you're talking $42,000, right? What is that?
And the perception of the people.
Well, I know that's well.
Well, can we set up a meeting with,
Goes for the little units, but everybody says that, a unit's a unit, and they use the same thing. They can use it as much. I don't know how a 500 square foot facility can handle the same as a 1,300 foot home, condo, or a 4,500 square foot house. It's not equitable to me.
can we set up a meeting with Russ between now and, we'll say like the first week in August?
Yeah, we can try, and I'll just have to coordinate that with you.
Yeah,
Can
I'll be
I-
back. I'll be back on the 1st.
All right,
I won't be here.
Can we have?
Well, wait a minute. When will you be here?
I'm gone. After this, I'm gone in a week. Till September, October. I don't know when I'm coming back.
Are you available by Zoom?
Yeah.
I'm going to be gone.
Okay.
All right. Will you participate by Zoom?
Yeah. Sure.
Okay. Let's get
I'd
this
rather
done.
be here.
We have to have 3 of you here in August.
Let's get this done. It's been going on for 2 years like this. It's like,
I know.
Lisa-
I'm sick of it.
Lisa, are you here in August?
I am.
Well, we're waiting for a doctor to tell us that we can leave. We're thinking we're hopefully going to be out of here about the 7th of August and should be back by the 8th or 9th. That's as long as all the bones and everything are healing.
All right, let me
At this-
just make one thing very clear. I'm up against a hard deadline to, at a public hearing, adopt the final budget for next year at your meeting on the 19th. I have to have it electronically transmitted to the property appraiser following that, or otherwise it won't be on the bill. So I need to make sure we've got 3 warm bodies in the room for the meeting on the 19th, or a meeting for around there. Everybody else can participate by phone.
you're here in August?
Yes, but we're talking about a separate meeting before the 19th.
Yeah.
I'm here in August for the meeting. Yes.
Okay, as long as we've got 3 here for the regular meeting and the public hearing in August.
But do we have 3? Because you said you're not.
I'm not gonna be
You're
here.
not here.
I've got 2 Lisas and Kevin.
Is Lisa Sager? Are you going to be here?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
on the
should be
19th.
there unless something happens. In worst case scenario, I will see if I can just fly down and fly back. If I have
Okay.
to, I will try to do that.
can I finally then have a little discussion on the board's general consensus on reducing the recreational water-only slips at B and D dock to 0.25? Is there any opposition or concerns with that?
We have B and D in there, and we already discovered.
It's just B. It's just B done.
Just B. It's only B.
All right. I guess
I make-
my main point is, if we, at the end of the day, if we find out that in fact there are bona fide commercial uses on D, then we'll deal with that accordingly. Is anyone on the board opposed for recreational water-only slips going from 1 to 0.25?
Nope. I make the motion. We accept it at 0.25.
And this is O&M,
Yes.
correct?
Only.
It's not that much different than a liveaboard, then I don't get it. So that's,
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor for those docks then on dock B that are recreational and water only? All in favor?
Aye.
Could be for that.
He didn't give it to me, he explained it, so.
Okay, there were no other proposed changes as part of that analysis that was performed by Russ, and I will know by this time tomorrow whether he's available and on what day to have a follow-up meeting, and I'll ask Zach at the end whether we can continue today's meeting or whether we'll need to renotice an interim meeting for the 19th of August.
Maybe even shoot the latter July, since some of the people are taking up hours.
I mean, I can answer that right now. We can't continue it, but the benefit of renoticing would be to pick up that utility-based adjustment before the bills are paid. So I think we should consider renoticing it for that purpose only.
I'm fine with that.
So that would basically, if this meeting could be, as long as it's that last week.
We didn't do that rate adjustment already? I thought we voted on that last time.
It needs to be noticed. But it's going to be backdated. It's going to be retroactive. Your bills are 2 months at a time, so it's going to be retroactive. So for example, the 30th of July is 14 days from now, which the 30th and the 31st are both 15 days from now. You need 10 days for that utility notice.
I'm fine setting that subject to Russ's availability.
Right, and so we can not deal with both of those things at that time, but I certainly would suggest that you all meet for us. I think it's important that there's real concerns, they're not inappropriate concerns. We just need to make sure the consultant has time to answer you, because I felt that he didn't have time to answer you all the last meeting.
You said you were meeting DDOT at the one rate, no?
No, again, these were notes to myself. They are currently at one, all of them, and the proposal was to go to 0.25. Based off of what I was told this morning, if in fact that we can, okay, if we can verify that all docks at D are currently in a commercial use, again, just from a liability perspective, we need to be able to have something to rely on.
Now, what I want to say is, you say we have to bring Russ in, but we do and we don't, okay? We've already got his agreement to these higher rates that we're at, the 1 and the 0.85 on the liveaboards and the commercial, okay? If we're reducing something, we don't need to bring them in, do we? If it's less than what they asked for, or what they approved, why would we need to bring him in?
My advice is that if you don't agree with what he wrote, you should bring Russ in and try to get an agreement with him as to his opinion. Because this cuts both ways. On the one hand, it seems strange that someone would challenge it going down, but someone might challenge the other one and say, he's set this assuming all these other numbers. So if you reduce one but you don't reduce another one, are you putting more of a burden on the rest of the system? Because the numbers change, right? If the total amount of money is being divided amongst these amount of units.
Right.
And so your number becomes slightly more if mine becomes less, because the money's got to be somewhere.
Right.
And so I would just suggest that if you don't agree with this, any part of this piece, you bring him in here. And again, you did this with the 1.5 and the double loss key. So it's important to try to get to agreement. It will be easier to get to agreement if we can give him something. For example, IT manual data about the traffic counts that your engineer may already have some of this information, and if Annalise is working with your engineer, perhaps that would be helpful. I think he should be at that meeting too, especially if he's been analyzing this. And that way we can get to a clear basis, because the question is going to be, what did you base this on?
I agree.
Okay.
Let's do it.
So for the moment, just for recalculations, the liveaboards will remain at 1. B-dock boats, water only, will go to 0.25. And there doesn't appear to be any interest in changing commercial from the 1, and could potentially increase subject to, further justification.
And the commercial lots could go up, commercial slips.
quantity, yes.
Well, depends on how many there are and how many businesses are in there.
One final issue then, and I had this on the regular agenda. I have recalculated the utility budget to reduce the base rate to $100 per month, which I felt the board unanimously agreed to at last month's meeting. I just need to make sure that we are good with that. My suggestion, and I think Zach has supported this, is I can't get you to do that with a formal vote today, but by consensus, if the board is comfortable with that, I would like to make that adjustment retroactive to June the 1st.
Why only to June? How much are we in excess?
I'm up against another hard deadline. I'm going to read the meters in 2 weeks, and then the bills are going out on August the 15th, and I have to tell the billing company in advance. And so I'd like to make the upcoming bill retroactive to the cycle that is in question. If at the end of the day the board wants to give credits as going forward, and you recognize what the revenue implications are, that's a different decision for a different day. But I'm trying to see, are you agreeable with making the new rate retroactive to June the 1st?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you do that second meeting in July, we will enact that.
Yeah, there's another notice requirement that Zach will need to fulfill. I cannot imagine why anybody would be opposed to a rate decrease. But we need to make sure that it is formally adopted, consistent to withstand whatever challenge might come.
Going back to just really quick on this O&M piece from a notice standpoint, when these go up, there's a slightly different notification requirement, so it's important.
They're not going up.
Well, the split lots and the doubles are
Those, yeah, I'm sorry.
Those are. But there was I'm only saying this because there was a reference to maybe the commercial going up. If we knew that, we would need to do some additional notification. So we're already planning on doing it for the 1.5 lots and the double lots. If they're going down, I think all of the docks, they're either staying the same or they're going down, is what I'm hearing. It means they're either staying at 1 or they're going to go down, depending on what you decide, however that lands. But I heard you reference that maybe the commercial goes up. In that case, there's additional notice requirements that have to take place, and they have to take place very quickly here. So
I think that we could do an off-roll assessment if it came to that. I don't like it when I feel like the board's being rushed to make a decision. The hard deadlines for the budget are tied to the tax bill, but CIDs can do an off-roll assessment. Just hypothetically, if you decide that you want commercial ERUs for both slips to be 8, we can make a finding and do an off-tax roll billing for those, whatever number of docks are on Dock D to reflect that.
Question that may or may not tie into this. Where are we with the marina condos, right, the boat docks? Where are we with the ERCs they didn't buy?
we notified the county, and what we found out was they actually didn't build out that site plan. So we've notified the county so that should they attempt to build out that site plan, they have to buy them at that time. Also, it appears that they are in some sort of code enforcement right now, and they seem to be going back in for a site plan modification. So we've notified who we need to notify, basically. And if they end up actually putting these things in there, they're going to have to buy this.
How did it ever get that far? I don't understand how we never collected. I'm not blaming anybody. I just don't understand how we didn't collect. I mean, you don't get a CO without paying.
They didn't get a CO. That's what I'm saying.
And they can go for years and years and years.
They applied for the site plan. The site plan was approved. And partially, this is a little bit of an awkward record situation. You don't approve their site plan, the county does.
Right.
So the county didn't notify you that the site plan was approved, which they don't. They don't notify any district that. They had your letter. And then the marina just didn't do that modification, even though they were approved to do it.
So they can't be, so if it's under code, they should be getting fined.
But they didn't do the modification. It'd be like
So in other words, they don't have those liveaboards there.
It's not that the site plan that this letter was attached to was not completed, is what I know.
So they can go in a non-completed state forever to avoid taxes?
So if they did the modifications and didn't tell the county, then yes, there's a code enforcement case here.
So can we go back and say, we have this much money coming because you didn't do anything?
I guess it depends on when yes, if we can prove that they did the build out and that they owe us the money, then yes.
They did the build out, they went to 118 liver boards, they made the spaces bigger, they did the build out.
Okay. What is your, do you want to sue them? Do you want to, what do you want to do?
The only reason I bring this up right now is because that number, that 19 number, 17 number is gonna change when we change. If we're going from now, if we're gonna go back to when the ERCs were there, we're gonna change. We'd still be there, but now if we change this, which is in place of the ERCs basically, it sets up their ERUs that they have to pay, right?
This does not change the ERCs, the O&M piece. So anything that we're doing with this methodology doesn't change that. I'm not, what the exposure here potentially is that when you were billing on an ERC basis, they maybe were not paying the right amount. Under the ERC basis, the O&M doesn't touch that.
So they're paying the O&M, they paid these things, that proves they built it. If it's there and they're paying us.
I guess, is that the case, Neil? Did they pay?
There are 175 docks on the assessment roll, all of them are current.
And they're all paying, so that means it's built. So I don't understand the problem.
We've been talking about this for over a year and a half
Yeah.
now, and it keeps coming back to, well, we're waiting on the ERC numbers. Well, now we have the ERC numbers, well, what are we waiting on now?
You said that you had to prove it was built, they're paying. It's gotta be built.
Okay.
They're paying their O&Ms.
If you'd like to take a vote to authorize me to prepare a complaint, I'll prepare a complaint and I'll bring it back and we'll sue them.
You for it? I guess the consensus is we're for it, so I make that recommendation.
That's a motion?
Yeah, a motion to, move forward on recovering our ERCs that were obviously not paid
From 2018.
from 2018.
I'll second it.
All
Discussion?
in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. I think that concludes the public hearing, and we will then re-advertise the public hearing for the August 19th meeting. That takes us then, if you'll flip over to the
Can we get a
agenda.
motion on that resolution to do that?
I'm sorry, which one?
The resolution sitting right in front of you for because we originally had noticed it for the sales center, this corrects that. It's sitting right in front of you, Neil, or I handed it to you.
A lot of stuff here to read.
Amendment 26-2 and it sets the final budget hearing on the August 16th. Correct.
I don't see it. You got an extra copy?
I handed you all my copies. Hold on.
Are we still going over the budget?
No, we're continuing the public hearing until the,
Budget's done?
yeah.
Okay, gotcha, thank you.
So tell me again what this is, Zach?
So in order to do the budget final approval, we have to notice that final hearing by way of a resolution. We did enact this back in May, but it was advertised for the sales center and for today. So
Okay.
we're doing final hearing in this building in August. We just need a
So
resolution.
this is a corrective resolution to reflect the fact that we have temporarily relocated back to here.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there a motion to accept and authorize the chairman to sign the resolution?
I make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Then that will take us to the regular meeting agenda. Again, we have already recognized the two board members who are participating telephonically. I did have one add-on to this agenda, and this can be item 6D2. And this is a authorization for a community development block grant. Mr. Truckee provided a copy of this, and I have provided each board member with a copy of the application. Was the second handout that I gave you. And so if we can add that to the agenda, is there any other additions to the agenda?
Can you tell us how much that was, block grant was?
Yeah, we're gonna get into the grant thing, but I can tell you, it's a match grant, so we were in two grant pools. One was 100% hurricane thing, and the other one was a 75% grant. The 75 grants came through, 75%. So that means that we would have to pay 25. But then they offered us a match grant, which will pick up all the money we have to pay. So it's like $750,000 that they're gonna grant. So that's no cost for us now.
Motion to approve the agenda as amended.
I make a motion.
Second.
All in favor? Any public comments today for items that are not on the agenda? We do have a couple of members of the public
What
who are
about
here.
things that are on the agenda that you just spoke about?
I would encourage you to come if you would like. This is your opportunity now.
Okay. As in reference to, I was a business owner, a commercial business owner years ago.
I need you to come. All of our meetings take place twice. I just need you to identify yourself.
Yolanda Di Bartolo, AMY Cam Duo Services, property management for the Port of the Islands condo hotel resort. I was a business owner many years ago. I'm in this community 32 years. And when I tried to put a vessel out at the marina, I was always told there was only 2 commercial entities allowed there, 2 commercial slips, and that was it. So I don't know what this whole thing is about commercial. But anyway, that's not our business here. That's a separate entity. I'm just wondering, did it change the commercial entities? There's more, because you keep talking about commercial. There's only 2 that were allowed at the marina for 25 years. So there's all these, everyone's a business, everyone's a commercial slip now?
But
And when did that zoning change? And
this board does not have any land use powers like that. So any amended or new zoning uses would have been separately approved by the
But
Board of
that has
County
to do with the water
Commissioners.
bill, right?
We don't have any
it's
say.
separate, okay. All right, and in reference to our property, I'm still working with Mr. Kish, and he's been like wonderful trying to get us together with this, but $200,000 a year is more than our budget, and we're not gonna be able to afford that, so they're gonna have to figure something out for us. And in reference to the mosquito spraying, I know because they changed the tax rolls or whatever, it's horrible, the mosquitoes, and whatever was happening before, the old company, it was doing a great job. Everybody asked, what happened to the old company? Is there a way maybe the board can chip in to get that old company back and maybe have the owners pay half and the CID pay half? I mean, it's terrible. I've never seen it like that ever in 32 years. And I don't know if it's because the county took over and they're not doing it regularly, or if they just got started a little too late. I don't know what the issue is, but people are asking for that old company to come back, whatever company it was. I'm not sure. I think it was the, I have a paperwork from one of the companies that said they did it here recently.
It was a licensed pest control company.
Right.
There's no current discussions at all.
I mean, you guys sold the equipment, I think.
Since the time that you and your members were annexed into the Collier County Mosquito Control District, you're now paying taxes in support of that activity.
Is that gonna change? Is that gonna change?
I mean,
If the bank,
can we have double the service? I mean, this is horrendous.
The best thing to do, I spoke with the people that are here yesterday, there was a whole bunch of them here, and one of them was a supervisor, representative for the company.
Collier County, you mean?
Yeah, they were all.
Pest control company
Yeah,
for
there was
the
like
So the mosquito control district.
They're government. 6 of their vehicles.
All right.
No, they're private.
Yeah,
There's a
Separate private company now?
mosquito control is private.
yeah, it's
No.
not, because when I called the county, they
Now, they
said,
charge a
It's a
millage-based
district.
tax.
It's an independent special district, it's a unit of
It's-
local government.
yeah.
The voters in the zone voted to be added into it. And so
Yeah.
the district here, we were providing this before. The voters chose to switch to the mosquito control district. Everyone is being taxed by the mosquito control district for this amount of money. While maybe the district could consider providing double coverage, I think that has to be thought through very carefully because there's already taxation being exacted to provide this service. And I would suggest that we direct that directly to mosquito control. That they have an elected board just like this, and they need to make decisions to make sure they're properly controlling the salt marsh mosquitoes.
well, everybody wanted to get their own company and get that old company back, so a lot of the condos and the associations were willing to pay half, but the CID was willing to help us. Help everyone.
The CID
This is not working, whatever's happening is not working.
My recommendation would be to reach out directly to Collier Mosquito Control, which is the governing body that handles this. The CID, for board members who have interest in this, certainly can be discussed, but we need to be careful about not taking, your residents are being taxed once, this would essentially be taxing them twice to do the same thing. Even if they're not doing a good job, it doesn't mean nothing can be done, but I think the first step is to talk to mosquito control itself, because they're the decision maker.
They are now monitoring and in addition do residential ground level spraying. And they are driven by their website and complaints that come through the website. It's a very scientific sort of a thing, but the short answer is
Call.
in the foreseeable future, you need to
A lot
call
of people
or
call.
hit the
I
website.
did, they said because of the state park, they're not allowed to go into there because of eco reasons. They can't go there, so the mosquitoes have no other choice but to come this way.
No, understood. If we can, do you have any other public comment?
No, just about the water bill part, and I'm sure I'm still working on that.
Just to say, I spoke with them yesterday for probably an hour out in the parking lot up there.
Okay, mosquito guy.
Yeah, they know what's going on, they're very
Okay.
aware, but the complaints do drive them to come out with their backpack sprayers and things like that and do extra spray. All right, so your complaints count. When you get on, you can get right on the site, push a button that you want to make a complaint or a comment, I think it is.
You know, when they
Push it,
come
hit the
in,
button.
something
It
happens.
brings you into putting your name and address and where you're complaining that the problem is. It's real simple to fill out. And they look at all those because when they get them, that drives them to come out with their trucks and their backpack spares and do additional, besides the helicopters and the airplanes and that
Okay,
kind of thing. So it does make a difference if you go on the site and complain.
okay, all right, thank you.
Just something to explain to people. When we were spraying 3 times a week and what they spray with overhead when they come through, and all those sprays are organic. They last 2 days. The stuff they spray with Mosquito Joe when they spray a house lasts a month because it's inorganic. So it lasts for 28
That's a big
days.
difference. It's a
So,
big
and
difference.
it kills the mosquitoes when they land on the leaf or whatever. That's just how they work. Just so you understand, every time they fly over, 2 days. And
Well,
that's
this part of the CID I was happy with, the mosquito spraying for the last couple of years,
Well, then-
but what's happened this year is
Yeah.
crazy.
It saved the average person out here money, but you pay 50% less and get 50% less coverage. So that's what happens.
Okay,
Can I encourage you to think about something, just since you're here? And we all recognize you are disputing the current base rate methodology, and you're entitled to dispute that. Completely ignoring to pay your bill or a partial bill or paying in protest is going to put you in jeopardy under the current policy. I don't have any discretion to waive your bill. And so at some point you're going to get that routine shut-off notice. And things are
well then
just
you
gonna
guys
happen
won't be
after
able to
that.
sit here and flush the toilet or anything if you shut the water off,
I'm
okay? We don't
just
have
telling
that in our, we don't have that in our budget.
Well,
That is not even close to, that 1 month is our whole entire.
I'm telling
budget.
you, doing nothing is going to, under the
Do
board's
nothing,
current
you want me to
policy.
take, you want me to tell them to take out a loan?
Pay
Pay
the
the water
amount of the
bill?
old bill? Are you saying pay the amount of the old bill like it would have been or pay
We can't
something?
pay $100,000, that's
They
what our
paid-
bill is for
They
2 months
paid their
so
most
far.
recent bill with a credit card,
Okay.
and then they canceled the payment And
We don't have a credit card, so we didn't pay with a credit card.
somebody did.
Well, it was not the Port Condo Association.
Somebody did, and then because I get notices when payments or checks don't clear. And
Right, because I almost lost
I
my
know for a
job
fact-
for paying the bill.
I know for a
I
fact-
paid the bill.
I know for a fact that you had not paid the most recent bill, and
The total was 100,000 for 2 months.
I'm just telling you.
All right, it's
until-
insane. It's
until
insane.
the-
We might have to jump on the suing bandwagon because it's ridiculous. It's insane.
I'm just saying, until there's further reclamation, you're gonna get a shut-off notice.
All right,
or
and you
something.
have to tell the county, what you keep saying, a deadline. We've been waiting for them for 15 years to take us over, so they can slow down with their deadline. I mean,
Understand.
it's been 15 years already that the CID the county was supposed to take the CID over. So now they're putting you on a deadline, that's even more insane. All right, have a nice day.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Barring any, then that takes us down to the approval of the minutes from your most recent meeting that occurred on June the 18th. And Lisa, have you had a chance to look at these?
I have. I don't have any issues. I have no
No
issues.
suggested edits?
I haven't had it.
I have a question. I have
Okay.
a question. On the top of that, it said that we had it at Orchid Gold.
That's what I was gonna say.
Says ordinary.
Yeah,
Number 6.
I'll make that change.
Yeah.
It's a standard header, and their transcriptionist is probably not aware that we moved back here. Thank you. Any other suggested edits? Motion to accept them with that one amendment.
You make the motion?
I'll second it.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Matt, that takes us down to the monthly utility report.
Good morning, board.
Did you get the watershed also, Phil?
He's working on it right now. We've determined that it's reuse and not potable. Pretty sure, so that's good. Matt with Florida Utility Solutions, here with your monthly operating reports. Operations at the facilities throughout the month were in accordance with contract and regulatory requirements. All wastewater plant requirements were met and all water distribution requirements were met. Reuse system functioned properly for outgoing pressure, and the canal pump station has not had any change. The wastewater plant received 2.034 million gallons in June, and the water plant produced 2.652 million gallons in June. I don't know if you remember, but the wastewater plant volume was too high in the past few months. We corrected the flow meter there, so the flows that you're seeing are accurate. Reuse distributed 9.231 million gallons in June. Used 430 gallons of chlorine last month. Performed weekly pump station inspections, odor control checks, performed generator, automatic transfer, switch, load test weekly, grease pumps and motors as necessary, cleaned and calibrated inline effluent analyzers. We replaced the RO cartridge filters on train 2. Those are the pre-filters before the RO. They kind of filter out anything larger that comes out of the wells like sand and grit. We installed 2 backflow repair kits due to leaks, and we repaired a leaking backflow on Newport Drive. Last board meeting, you guys asked me to reach out to the water meter provider, vendor, regarding networking all the water meters back to the plant. I reached out to them. They sent me a form. I completed it. They will come out and do a survey to determine what that would take and what it would cost. They have to figure out where to attach equipment and best places to do that, and,
What are they gonna do?
They're gonna give us a quote for networking all the water meters.
What do you mean networking?
Right now, all the water meters, we drive around with the transmitter that
Right.
feeds them manually.
Right.
They would be connected to the plant all the time if we did it that way.
You would also be able to see leaks that way too.
Yeah, okay, no, I get that, I'm just trying to get down to what meter handles what units. That's big.
Yeah.
For some reason, we don't know what meter handles what units.
We have a meter address attached to every meter.
But we don't know what units those are attached to on the building. It's not your problem.
We have
Not your problem.
estimates, but we don't, there is no data, short of reviewing construction plans or something. We do have estimates on every account.
But
In
that's the
progress.
problem. Them having to pay $100,000 for two, I mean, if that's correct, then their water bill's $600,000 a year. I mean, that's more than our budget.
And unless there are meters that we are unaware of, or there are supply lines that do not have meters,
So we don't know.
and they're stealing water, we don't know.
Something's not right. I'm just trying to, lay the groundwork for what I'm trying to tell you. I mean, what's our budget? So that group pulls in $600,000 worth of revenue just in base rates in a year. And our total to manage the plant, according to this budget, without management and whatnot, just the water and waste and water, was 1.4 million. So 72 less than 500 square foot units are paying half the water bill for the whole community. Doesn't seem right. What's that?
86 units, 721. That's for their non-ad valorem.
What are you talking about? I don't care about that ad valorem. I'm talking about a $256 base on,
$200.
well, it's 200 now. But how did those units come up with $100,000 in 2 months? Doesn't make sense. I don't care what,
Their annual amount is $132,000.
and she's got 6 months of bills for, or 2 months of bills for $100,000.
30,000 is the first one.
Wait a minute, is
I
it,
haven't looked at our bills.
can I see the bill?
That's the first.
It's supposed to have the meter on, the meter's supposed to be on here, right? The associated, there's no meters on here.
There's an account number
There's an account number with no meters.
there's a separate schedule that they maintain that has serial numbers for every meter that match every account.
Who has that?
He has that.
Meter
And
billing
we-
has.
Yeah, and we.
And I asked for that 45 days ago. I gave you those account numbers. I give you all these account numbers for the 3 properties that she's taking care of, for these 3 accounts, and I never got them.
I think we did.
No, you didn't.
I don't have them with me today, but I can give you the schedules of meters with serial numbers over 1 inch that are maintained separately for both residential and commercial.
I want it, I want it today.
I asked for it 6 months ago.
I'm telling you, I asked for this. I gave you these account numbers and I asked for them and I didn't get it. I would have, I asked for it. And maybe you send it, if you send it to my Apple email, I don't know how to get into that freaking Apple. So send it to my personal account. They can ever want to audit my personal account. They can look at
There are
everything.
very few of them. The vast majority of meters here are all 3/4 inch, and then there's a small number of, there's one 1-inch meter that goes to the fire station. The rest are 2-inch meters that serve the hotel or the condominiums, and they're all separately listed on the schedule. You'll have it this afternoon.
You understand that the way the county and the city bills on a 2-inch.
I understand, but there's.
I know, but I'm just trying to tell you about what's equitable. We're going to get to this. So if you have a 2-inch meter, you have a set rate on that, and that's divided by the units. You can't make each unit pay the base rate, which was what we did.
But that's what the board voted to do.
You can, but does it sound like it's right? I mean,
I believe that it is based off of the estimates that are applied to the meters. You'll have to see it.
so we got.
Yeah.
She's got a 30. This is just for 2 months. So she's got $30,000. So it's $180,000 a year for these units right here.
That's probably what their usage is.
Somehow the next bill.
With their
they don't have to
usage.
pay for it.
I just ran the number.
Yeah.
It's even larger than the next bill.
Usage was what? 85 gallons.
Yep, let me do, are there any other questions for Matt?
Can I ask one? On our budget here for.
This is for Matt. You have any questions for Matt?
Matt's
Yeah.
presentation.
Okay.
I do.
But hold on, it's not your practice to have the public
Okay.
ask questions to your consultants. I defer to you, but I just think we need to keep with the rules of decorum.
Y'all can have an offline conversation. I'm just trying to get him back to work. If Steve, if you want to meet him and ask him some questions in the lobby, I'm not opposed to that.
Before you go, I'd like you to be part of this. I was gonna do it later in the grants, but I think we should talk about it right now so you know. We are looking at a fourth well. It's been approved by South Florida Water Management to put in fire protection wells. All right, it's going to the engineers and then off to the county for a permit. They say permit time is like a few days. All right, if we can get that in place, we have some grant monies we can repurpose. It might pick up the fourth well, so when we do the water line and everything, we'll incorporate a fourth well into it to pick up on the fire control tools and stuff that we need. Because the canal system problem with the salt bottle.
Okay, sure.
So we're in the works of making that. So as we go forward, we're going to be talking, hooking up all four wells so that like in a fire situation, you can flow all four wells through the new pipe and really increase the gallons and stuff that we can manage.
That'd be great.
So just wanted to know that.
Again, only because I've talked to Mitch and before you, the original bids that were let for the well field improvements in the new raw water main, FUS is not in a position to sign the contract because of 40% increase cost in the pipe, the high density polyethylene pipe. So we're rebidding that. I've shared that with Mr. Truckee. I had it confirmed with Mr. Gilbert. And there is not a mechanism to grant them an increase for that cost of the pipe in the contract that is proposed. So we're going to rebid that job, and that has some potential, implications to it. But if you're not aware of it, I spoke to Mitch at the end of last week, and they're not in a position to sign the contract for the bid that was actually let about a year ago. Okay. With that, is there a motion to accept the utility report?
I make a motion, we accept the utility report.
Second it.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks,
Can
man.
you go check on your thing, but can you hang around instead of leaving?
Sure.
Thank you.
No problem. Do you want me to hang over here? You guys have a question?
Yes.
Please. Talk to Steve.
No, I'm
Steve's got
not. I'm
some
here.
particular question about that utility budget. Okay. That takes us down to the manager's report. We've already addressed the first two items here as part of the budget discussion. I'm down to item C. This is the update on the CID building and after the fact permit issue. We did not incur any additional cost since your last meeting. There is a summary of the costs that have been paid to our contractor that includes the cost to prepare the plan. I was advised this morning that code enforcement people were on site at the building, and there was, as I understand it, the two issues that remain are to certify the repair that was done to the roof, and there is a separate issue to have a plan or an inspection of a improvement that was made to the circuit breaker panel. And Kevin, if there's anything else that is outstanding, I'm not aware of it, but that's the update. We don't have a CO
I haven't
yet.
received these updates. The gentleman that was out this morning wasn't here for the building.
Okay, it was unrelated then?
Right.
Okay, there is an email from Mr. Bodner in your agenda materials today that reflect the work that has been done. And if I get additional information or we get a final inspection scheduled, I'll share that with you. as the liaison as soon as I'm aware of that.
All right.
Item D today is to discuss and consider authorization of the first FEMA mitigation grant contract. The reason the agenda is as big as it is today, that the contract for the grant is like 54 pages. And I would just want you to know, as your manager, it has lots of strings attached to it. And I'm working my way through that. The companion item to this is the application for the second grant that Mr. Truckee alluded to, and I'm actually going to have him just kind of review that. The deadline for this is next Friday, and so I may need some help from our engineer in making sure that the application is complete, because I don't want it to get rejected. Only by way of example, the grant has a special provision that obligates the district to have an office that is maintained and open 11 hours a day. And I have asked for a waiver of that. It's just some obscure federal requirement. You can't even be closed for lunch. The building has to be open and accessible from 8 o'clock in the morning until 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And my business generally works 9 to 5, sometimes 9 to 4, depending on the season, and we're closed for lunch. And so my failback that has been approved would be to designate your engineer of records office, which frankly is much closer and is open and staffed through the lunch hour. And but that's just an example. There's other provisions here that have to do with the Davis Act, federal wage acts. You got to be able to certify that everybody on the job, especially laborers or mechanics, are being paid a market surveyed wage. And so there's lots and lots of paperwork associated with this, but this was a major win for this community. And with that, let me stop just for a minute to have Dan kind of outline this new grant application that would be our match grant. I have not received any formal notice of award or what those parameters are, so I need to be a little bit better educated on this new application. And then the final thing we'll discuss before we conclude this, your original grant consultant scope of services and contract entitles him to a 10% commission. And so I have an invoice that's attached for $300,000, but how we pay that is something I want to make sure that I'm clear on as well.
All right, so the new part of the grant is, like we said before, it's they call it a match grant. It comes from a different agency in the government, and what they'll do is they'll pick up the cost, because the grant we applied for was a 75% payment grant. So if your grant was $1 million, they'd pay $750,000, and we'd be responsible for the other $250,000. But now the match grant came along and came through, so now they'll pick up the other $250,000. So it's about $750,000 that we won't have to pay. But we have deadlines, and like Mr. Neal here said, it's the government. There's a lot of red tape, there's a lot of deadlines, there's a lot of paperwork to fill out, and we'll get that done, and hopefully that'll all be paid for. Our grant manager gets 10%. We accepted that when we brought him in. We could have paid him a wage for all these years, or we could give him 10%. Most of the time they get about 5%, and then whatever time it takes or whatever, he's in it till the finish and he gets his 10%. We opted for that because I think it makes them a little more hungry to see that you get your grant money, and that works. So the federal government picks up 5% of that. They pay the grant writer the normal wage, and we'll pick up 5% of it, all of our grant proceeds. So that's how he gets paid. He has a $300,000 bill right now for $3 million. We don't have to pay that right away. I know he bills early and wants the money, but until we have the grant money coming in and we actually see some, I don't think that we have to worry about paying it.
Okay.
All right, so we can hold that for a little bit yet until we start seeing some of the grant money go. Hopefully this dry season, we can get a lot of the work done. We have a storage tank to build, we have a new pipeline to put in, we have wells to raise and electric to redo so it won't flood. In the end, we got flooded, we had wet electrical boxes, equipment failures, the well motor on one of the wells got wet, the generator burnt up because it got water in it. We had a lot of issues, a lot of costs, and the federal grants now are reimbursing us for some of those costs, and then we also get, they call it mitigation, but it's an upgrade to make your facilities more secure and your infrastructure. They call it hardening the infrastructure, I guess, so it makes it more storm resilient, and we should be good to go. Our well field should be all set with the new things we're going to do to it.
This is a reimbursable style grant, so we will have to advance the money. If we award a new contract for the well field at say $1.5 million, and the first draw request is $250,000, we have to, from a cash flow perspective, we have to make that payment and then we get reimbursed. The money flows through the state. And I'm glad to hear Dan's comment, because at the moment, the only guaranteed money that we have is the $2.3 million. And so until we get a notice of award for the state's match grant, it is a community development block grant that is administered through a separate Department of State government. But both Dan and the consultant are very optimistic that we're going to meet all of the eligibility for the community development block grant. Also federal money, but also flows through the state.
Right, so we have monies, it all kind of comes from FEMA, some of it comes right from FEMA, some of it goes through the state Department of Emergency Management, some of it comes all the way down to the local county, but it's all FEMA money coming through. Because we're in two different grant pools, and one of the grants were turned down, but there's money in the pool, we might be able to repurpose some money, so we looked at that, and it has to meet the criteria of the rest of the grant, so adding a fourth well is something we need because of the saltwater intrusion in the canal. We can't use our pump station to meet our required fire flows for the community, so adding a fourth well will help with that. The line we're putting in from the wells is going to be larger, handling more capacity when we put it in here this fall, hopefully. So if we can get another well put in at the same time with some of this grant monies, we're looking to be able to do that too. So it should set us up to go into the future quite well. A lot of paperwork, a lot of stuff to do to keep the government happy. But Neil's going to take care of a lot of that from here out. So it's a good thing.
We had a kickoff meeting with our, I'll call her our project manager, who works for the state. She's actually a private contractor. Her name is Rita Knapp, and she is a proponent of Port of the Islands. She's very helpful. And so I do need a motion to authorize the chairman to sign the contract for the $2.3 million FEMA grant, and if necessary, to also sign this CDBG grant application.
Two separate motions.
Two different motions. Okay, is there a motion to authorize the chairman to execute the FEMA mitigation grant?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Fine.
And then a separate motion to authorize the chairman to sign the CDB Florida Department of Commerce block grant for the match.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Fine.
Item
I just
7
want to
today-
say, great job, Dan and Neil, for you guys taking care of this. Really, it's a wonderful thing for our community. So thank you.
It takes a team. There isn't, no one could have done it alone. It takes a team to come up with grant money. It takes a grant manager and managers and board members and things to help with some of this. But it's the first grants for the islands have gotten, and to say that we're in the millions in grant, it's kind of nice.
Great job.
With that, yeah,
Put your name on it.
thank you. With that, let's look at the financials. These would be the 8-month financials, or those through May the 31st that are behind the next tab. Just quickly, you'll note that at the end of May, the district had a combined $5.3 million in cash on hand. Additionally, there are some receivables that are noted there that is for outstanding utility bills that are unpaid of $82,000. There's also on the current assets some prepaid items. In particular, these are insurance premiums. The total current assets on hand at the end of May, $5,700,871. There were $56,000 that were outstanding in payables that are shown on the liability portion of the balance sheet. Moving on to the income statement, and I'll be fairly quick here. Overall, we are favorable to budget. It is interesting to note on the first page of the income statement that there was almost $12,000 in non-ad valorem assessments that were received during the course of May. And so this would have been after the auction that occurred. And so there were either some late, or there were some payments with penalties that were made right before the certificates would have been sold, or there were investors at the tax auction that bought certificates that were delinquent. But typically we don't see that kind of money, but you might see a little bit depending on when checks were cleared at the tax collector's office in the following month. Total year-to-date revenues, $876,227 against an annual budget of $930,000. That's very close to 90%, and where it would be forecast to be actually a little more than that. Looking through the general fund total cost, get the right page here. Total expenditures to include capital improvements, we're $208,933 below budget year to date. Some of that reflects your untapped contingency and capital reserve funds that are part of this. And so with that, and just in the interest of time, I'll see if you got any particular questions on that. If not, then forward. Back to the index. Yeah, I need a motion just to accept them.
I make a motion, we accept the financials.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The first item I have there under the attorney's report, I got a notification. There's a new law that went into effect that affects districts like ours. It simply says that residents are now eligible to pay local government accounts of any type with a credit or debit card. And we already have mechanisms in place to do that. The effective date in compliance is in January, but we already have mechanisms in place. Zach, did you have anything else in addition for today?
Yes. On the case law, on the tail end of the Marino lawsuit, the Putnam lawsuit, we had the hearing on the entitlement to fees. We're still waiting on the court to rule. As soon as the court rules, we'll know. But we had the hearing. All we have to do is first wait on the court. On the case lawsuit, that's moving forward, and I believe positively. And I don't want to go too much into that here on the public record, but I hope to have a pretty interesting substantive update for you at the next hearing. But on that one, again, I would just encourage it's active litigation, so we don't have too much discussion on it. I will be bringing forward to you, if it's supportable, a complaint as to the marina for the failure to purchase the ERCs as discussed in this meeting today. And finally, I want to talk about Orchid Cove. I need to get some direction from the board about this. I had a back and forth with their attorney, and I can't seem to get a better answer out of their counsel than they just believe that they should be paid this heightened amount of money forever into the future with no endpoint. As your counsel, I really cannot advise you to agree to that position. I understood that to be a settlement agreement. I wish that your prior counsel had drafted it a little more clearly, but be that as it may, I don't see how the district could possibly agree to defer a benefit forever to settle a $45,000 claim. So I see two paths here for the board. Both ways I think involve communication with Orchid Cove. We, at the last meeting, you authorized me to schedule a meeting with them, and you authorized me to bring Mr. Baird. They didn't want to have a meeting. So the reason why Mr. Baird did not go to a meeting is because they didn't want to have one. So I have two paths for you. One would be that we work with Neil to calculate what is the remaining amount of payments that would get you to the 45, and we can send a letter that says we will pay until then, and then we're done, and we consider you terminated.
We should be there already.
But we may already be there. I remember from the November meeting, it was going to be sometime in this fall is when it was going to happen, but with Neil. Or I would suggest you file a deck action to determine what that contract means, because I have additional concerns about the contract, because in the minutes that lead to that contract, there's reference to maybe some of these things that you were settling were outside of the statute of limitations. And if that's the case, I don't know that you could have agreed to settle those amounts of money. And so there is an active question here. At all times, I would advise you to sit down with and try to renegotiate this Orchid Cove. But if they refuse to talk to you, I don't know what to tell you about that. So what I can tell you is that you have two courses of action. We either calculate the amount and tell them and let them decide if they want to make this litigation, or you can make this litigation and we can figure out what this contract means. But I don't think, I cannot advise you to continue to pay on that past the $45,000. And I'm not even sure you owe them the $45,000.
So it sounds like the second.
The second, the less controversial route is just to send them a note and say, this is when we think this is over, and we're going to stop paying and let them take the first move if they want to. Because there's a complication here, right, which is that we pay the bill itself for the rest of the amount, right? And so that's my understanding of the arrangement. And I know, Dan, you have a deep understanding of this.
Yeah, so right now we pay for their light poles, the fancy ones, and we pay for the electric bill just like we pay everywhere else.
Yeah.
All right, so when you look at the bill that we get, it's billed to us from LCEC. Right, so we would have to continue to pay the electrical charges because we pay those. Now, we don't have to pay on all the poles. They have 21 poles, 2 of them are in the parking lot. Yeah, they have way more poles than anyone else. All right, so I don't know if you want to pick an average number that we take in the community and say, this is what we pay everyone else here in the community. You know, you might say, okay, it's 16, 17 poles or something, and just pick a number and say, all right, this is times the amount upgrade we pay for their poles and their stuff like that, right?
Well, there's two kind of issues here, right? Because the agreement that we're having a dispute over is just about that, making the poles nicer, the decorative pole piece, right?
Right.
That was the part that we agreed to do. There's another agreement, there's an older agreement about paying for the poles generally. At this point, I'm not sure that we're challenging
The attorney, in that letter from the attorney, he keeps saying about the electric bill. We can't, we're going to pay the electric bill. Well, the electric bill is electricity.
Right.
All right, we're going to continue. We never said we wouldn't pay that. So a lot of that language in there is wrong.
Yeah, I agree. And mechanically, I guess the question is, since we pay the bill, we would tell LCEC we're only paying this part. But LCEC is not going to care. They're going to say, well, we're providing power to this decorative pole, so your bill's this. So I'm not sure, it's our account, that is the part that makes me a little concerned about the first route, because if we just start short paying LCDC based on our own math,
They'll shut the poles off.
they'll turn the whole thing off, and now we've got a problem, because I don't think we're taking the position that we're not paying the base level of power.
Well, what you could do maybe, because we looked at this, you could turn the whole bill over to Orchid Cove and say, if you want your lights on, pay the bill. We'll reimburse you for the electric.
and this is what I was hoping we could sit down with Mr. Baird and them and get to an understanding of how to better deploy this. I don't think I see anybody from Orchid Cove here today. It would be helpful to do it that way as opposed to making this adversarial, because this does require some decoupling, and there's a third party here at LCEC who does not care about our dispute. They just want to be paid for power. So
I think to not shut their poles off, the easiest might be to turn the bill over to Orchid Cove.
if LCEC will let us.
If they'll let it, well.
Even if they don't, can't we just tell them, okay, we've determined this is the additional cost for the decorative poles, this is what you owe us, and send them a bill, and then if they don't pay it, then we'll sue them.
We could do it that way. So basically, we keep paying the bill, and once we hit 45, which we may already be at, we will start sending them bills on that point.
So what are you gonna do if they don't pay them?
I mean, it's a lawsuit. It's going to be thorny because we've imposed this burden on them. But
Isn't it?
We've imposed a burden on that.
what? No. I understand. Sorry. I mean,
think
when
it's all-
we just start sending them bills that aren't tied to any contract, the court is going to be confused by this approach. But there's not a better approach here because we have to pay the base power bill, and we're not disputing that. That's how we've
The
done
base
it.
pole, by the way, includes the base pole,
Right.
right? If they would have concrete poles, we pay them for everybody else, so it's.
The difference.
Base rate for the power pole and then the electricity.
It's a couple $100 a month. It's not a huge
It's
amount.
$600 a
$600.
month that they would owe, or $600 to $800, depends how many light poles you do.
7,200 a year.
Yeah, it's like $7-8 grand a year.
Yeah, so, and again, I was hoping that when in the discourse back and forth with the attorney, which I believe you guys all have, I was hoping she would acknowledge that this can't go on forever, but they refuse to acknowledge that, so.
It's easier to owe them money than for them to owe us money, because if they, if you can switch it, if LCEC would convert the bill to.
Then maybe the first course of action is, and I don't know, do we already have the numbers of when the 45 has been spent?
No, we haven't tried to calculate that.
Okay, if we need to know that first piece, and if we knew that, and then let's say, 'cause I remember, I thought we discussed this in November of 25, and I thought maybe Dan had calculated that number.
I did, I had the numbers, I don't.
And I recall the,
If you took $600 and something a month on the left side, if you don't deduct any poles, right?
well, my recollection was that
$7,200 a year, and it was from 2000,
no, it was from sooner than that, it was,
22, 21? It was in
I
there
think it was
somewhere.
2020 or 21.
That's what I thought, yeah, that's what I meant, 2020, sorry. 2020, it's just 7 years,
2020.
Roughly.
So we're past it.
you're past, that's what I said, we're already there.
6 times. Okay, so then I think we need to send a notice immediately that asks them to convert the bill over to LCEC, and we'll offer to pay them that normal amount because they're keeping the decorative poles.
That would keep us from having to sue them for the money.
And-
Go that route, if we
Right.
can't, we have to keep the poles in our name and then bill them, then we're gonna have to go after money.
So from a direction standpoint, I will prepare and send a letter to them, as long as the board wants me to do this, that says that our accounting, which we'll get a little bit firmer on this, but our accounting is that we have already paid maybe more than 45. We are going to ask LCEC to move the bill over to them. We will pay X amount per whatever cycle to them, which represents what the benefit the community gets, which is the base pole amount.
Well, we might as well pay it to the end of the fiscal year because October 1st, we're gonna start a new one, right? Then you can put that in the budget. You can remove that from the budget.
However you want to handle it, I just
Let them know that we'll pay it through the fiscal year.
sort of basically in settlement of all of this.
Yes.
It's this, it's nice, it's
So,
being nice.
our fiscal year ends September 30th. So through the 30th of September, and we are going to go ahead and reach out to LCEC and see if we can get it converted effective October 1.
If we don't convert it, maybe if the wording is, if it doesn't convert, we will be billing you for excess.
Otherwise, we're gonna be billing them, and that, putting it in the fiscal helps us as well, because that way Neil and I can figure out before we take more dramatic action, what LCEC is going to do. Because if LCEC says no problem, we'll switch it over to them. This makes it a lot easier. If LCEC comes back and says, well, they have to agree to that, which is what they're likely to say, I assume Orchid Cove's not going to agree to it. And then we're going to have to decide, how are we escalating this or are they escalating this? Frankly, I think it is unreasonable for them to take this position, given the minutes that surround this agreement. It's hard to imagine that any version of this board would have agreed to pay an infinite amount of money to solve a $45,000 problem. It just doesn't make sense. But I can't seem to get that reaction out of the council. I don't know why.
Okay.
So I would desperately hope, not for any other reason, I just think it's not a good place for the district to be in active disputes with its HOAs. I would hope that Orchid Cove would change its mind and be willing to meet with Mr. Baird and me. And maybe this letter will inspire that, I don't know, but that it would be a lot smoother if we could negotiate a decoupling.
Well, once you get the total from him, it'll show that we overpaid.
We've already overpaid.
And so then, do we have to make a motion to do this, or are you just gonna do it?
I just want consensus that I can send the letter out. I assume, is anyone opposed to this?
No.
I mean,
No.
we've talked at length. You've all seen the correspondence. You voted last time to try to kind of settle the conference with them, and they told you no. So I don't know what else we're supposed to do.
Did you?
Okay, in the same letter that came from the attorney where they told us no, I noticed that we took over the roads, the way I'm reading this, in Orchid Cove in 2011. And from what I understand, we're responsible for the main roads, K's and Newport. I think that, just to be fair to all the taxpayers, we should take over all the roads. So what do I need to do?
Well, they actually have to be turned over.
Yeah, they have to be turned over. The
So-
HOAs
so-
don't have to
Because
agree
when
to this.
we turned ours over,
Right.
it was a
So
process
what we need
with
to-
the CID board to get them turned over. There's an agreement that was signed, right?
Right.
So we'd have to get into agreements. The roads we don't have would have to be an agreement put together and signed by both parties.
Yeah, there's a preliminary level of the HOAs have to want to do this. The current owners have to want to do this. And then to the extent any of the roads are county roads, which I'm not sure if any of them are county roads, but maintained by the county for public dedication. I believe your engineer Jared he did an analysis. He was doing it for stormwater. That same analysis is basically the road analysis, which is who owns what, because the stormwater systems are typically the roads. So in that stormwater review that Jared did, we have a good sense of who owns what. So the first piece is just figuring out who are all the owners, and then the owners have to be willing to do this. And then there's just a process that goes through. There have been some recent legislative modifications to this process, and I'm not prepared to discuss them sitting here today, but I can look into that.
There's some reasons that some of the associations haven't turned them over.
Sure. Well, and one of them is going to be standards. If they want to set their own standards of landscaping and repaving and resurfacing and not have to rely on the district, it's a perfectly good reason not to turn over the road. Another one is access control. If it's a private road, you get to do things differently than if it's a public
There's an
road.
old builder agreement that gets in the way where one of them too. There's some different things.
Oh, it can be a tricky thing to work through. It's not but it can be worked through. If everyone wants to do it, it can be worked through.
I did an AI search on, the guy, and it came up private, like that. I think you put each road in, it's gonna tell you whether it's private or not. So, AI, that's just Google AI.
Road statuses are surprisingly tricky to research. The county itself has a very poor grasp of which roads are its roads. And then the problem with the AI is relying on documents, but documents aren't the only answer. So for example, if the county just randomly started maintaining a road, it becomes a county road. But there's no document that says that.
They just know that on some of our roads, they are privately owned, and I think Peacock probably falls under this. They're in their easement agreement with the CID. That's what we have on ours.
And it very well could be.
Privately owned with the easement agreement that they maintain the road and potable water and sewer up to.
So there's different strings for each of them. but certainly I understand from a fairness standpoint, if you're talking about distributing, if we're paying for some roads that are not necessarily core to entire district circulation, shouldn't we just do all of those? It does require buy-in. It's a logical conclusion. It will certainly increase your O&M budget.
Yeah, if we're going there, then we gotta look, at some point, we'll have to go to the stormwater thing too. We take care of stormwater for some places and we don't for others.
Well, in many ways, that conversation is almost the same conversation, because again, a lot of the road dedications are the stormwater systems, because all the swales are in the right of way. And so it will start to, that conversation might be the same conversation. It might not, but a lot of the swales are.
Some swales are in the front, some swales are in the back.
Right.
Yeah, there's still deals where we don't pay all the stormwater costs.
Sure. No, there's a lot about and this is not unique to Port Act. There's a lot about multi-developer build-outs that is inconsistent. And then there's also, you have multiple stages of build-outs, and things were just done differently, and the result is it's complicated. But as to this point, the correct I was looking for, I received, I will prepare a demand to Orchid Cove, where we will articulate that we are going, here's how much we paid, here's what we think we should have paid. If we can all agree that they're taking over on October 1, we can negotiate an end, and basically a settlement end to that contract, and we don't have to make further issue out of this. If they don't feel that way, then we're going to have to make further issue out of this.
We're still with you and with Orchid Cove,
I'm done.
but are we in the attorney right now, or you, right?
That was my last thing.
Because, well, no, I still want to get, we were talking, last time we talked about acquiring those 11 building lots from the county that are in Orchid Cove. Just if they would like sign them over to us.
This is the phase 2 of the condo that was never built.
Yeah.
And I believe Orchid Cove acquired these through a tax deed sale, was that correct? Someone acquired these.
No.
They were trying to buy them.
Yeah, there was an acquisition on the phase 2, we talked about this last meeting.
Yeah, but that was only one location, that was, 25,017
Okay,
building, it was just one potential.
Who owns the rest of the phase
It's all
2?
owned by the county. County owns the rest of it, as far as I know.
Thought the county only owned the hotel site. I don't think the county owns phase 2. That was a holding company that was corporate.
Just go to Fraser. Look up 25085 and see who owns it. I know that's not empty. Just type in 25,000 Peacock Lane. And bring them all up. Well then.
5,100.
Or just bring up Peacock Lane and it'll list everything that's there. And it'll list the empty lots, who owns them. You can tell just by the values.
Okay, I see what you're saying. So Fire County owns, it's called 25,035 Tamiami Trail East, which they acquired by way of.
No, that's not it.
Okay, well, that's one that the county owns inside off of Peacock.
No, you said that the address was Tamiami Trail East.
That's the address for the parcel, but it's on Peacock. It stretches all the way down to Tamiami Trail. It goes along Peacock on the east side, and then it jumps over Swan Way, and then it keeps going a little bit.
Yeah.
All of that is owned by the county.
Right.
I'm trying to figure out how they acquired.
There's 11 of them. I want to. Huh?
Oh, sure, it's tax lien. The document that they recorded here is not correct.
Anyway, I need you to look into that, how we can acquire that, or if they'll sign them over to us. And then we were talking about purchasing that hotel, or somebody's gonna purchase it. The hotel, the 9 acres.
The last word I heard on that was, waiting on the county to come up with a date. Neil, you were following up on
I
that?
did, and they are intending to issue a competitive notice to negotiate in the first quarter of next year for any interested parties for the parcel. So we will have to respond to a request for proposals to negotiate to acquire that project, and we'll have to compete with other potential entities based off the BCC's approval of that. I think it was at their May meeting.
Oh, okay, so that's not so much.
It's not, I mean,
Okay.
they're gonna go through the process like declaring it surplus property and take proposals from interested parties sometime during the first quarter of 2027.
Yeah, we sent the offer that you all made, and that was the response we got. I think
Yes.
also my read on the ITN is that they're looking for us to show up and say, here's how much we would pay, and we're going to build this. Because I think that's what the developers are gonna come in and say is, here's the money piece, and we're gonna do 121 units, and they're gonna be 80% affordable, or 120% affordable, or whatever their pitch is. They're very focused on this as an affordable housing concept, which is based off of the Collier AMI, usually between 80 and 120% of AMI. So we'll have to talk about this further, because I expect that we're gonna have to not just say we wanna buy it, we're gonna have to say, and then we're going to do insert here. And I don't know that that's something that we're tooled to do, but we can talk about it once we see the ITN.
Well, I'd have to have more information on the Lindsay Case thing, because the first option would be to, if there's a developer coming in for any of that, to work with that developer.
Sure. Sure.
Anything further, Zach?
I know, I was on that one to go.
I think that takes us down
Go ahead and get for a second, well,
to other supervisor requests. Are there any other supervisor requests?
I got a lot, so. Can I go first?
Go for
All right, I know we're gonna talk about these water rates and everything, and Yolanda's group here, and I think, I know we put a 1 on every single unit, all right? I finally, it makes sense to me here, but there's things here that don't make sense. So she's got her water bill here. It's got the one of them has a 1-inch base, okay, for a 1-inch base rate, and they're charging $4,418 every 2 months for that base rate. All right, and a 1-inch meter, and then another $4,000.
I think it's a 2-inch meter.
No, this is the one. It says right there, 1.
We gave everybody 3/4 inch.
No, that was residential.
That's residential.
So
And
this
how
is
many
a 1
units
inch.
are on that? How many units are on that? 1
That's
inch?
my point. That's my point. If you let me get there. I
Okay.
need to talk. Give me my chance. So we get to 4,000. So we have in 2 months we have $8,000 billed as a base 1-inch rate. Okay, makes $8,000. Right here on Schedule A, it says master residential and commercial 1-inch water rate $164. 2-inch is $600. She also has a 2-inch meter here that they charge $3,000 for. They charge less for the 2-inch meter than they do, and then they charge another $2,000 for the 2-inch meter on the waste end. Okay, so she's paying $6,000 on a smaller unit. I mean, a smaller pipe, probably because there's more units on these than. So we're charging per unit. Now, when you go to the county and you go to the city and you do base rates on multi-residential units, if they don't have their own meter, the base rate is based on the size of the pipe. And then you can add additional sub-meters for that pipe but it can't, each sub-meter cannot exceed the base rate of the 1 inch or 2 inch pipe. You follow me? That way they pay, each one pays on consumption. The consumption can be whatever, but the base rate on each meter cannot. That's why before, when I told you that I went and checked out those hotels and everything down on the street, what the hell are Glades Motel worked out to $67 every 60 days per hotel room.
That's hotel though.
It's a multi-commercial, it's all based on the pipe size. I also did the Days Inn, even them, the new one, the Wood Spring Suites, $47 per 60 days. That's the charge on the base rate.
That's a commercial business.
Well, that's what we have.
We don't have.
It says master residential and commercial, they are together. Okay?
Right.
So all this comes down to is that, and I did it another way. I figured them all out based on our old 0.5 for RV or a small unit like that, 0.25 on the hose bibs on B, 0.8 for condos, okay? And based on, I don't have a computer, or not a computer, a calculator to figure out the base rate per month on the new goal we have here, 1.4 million or whatever it is, 1.44 million for water and waste operation. You know what it is, 1.4, even though in our last meetings we said we were at 1.56, and we have another recommendation to go to 1.9 by 2027. The lowest rate I could come up with using even those adjusted rates, if we did it per unit, X or the base rate, the lowest I could get it to was 188 per month. But then that would be for somebody like an individual smaller than, less than 500 square feet, like these units that we're talking about. That would drop it to half of that. So that would be like $90 per month base rate plus usage. So something's not right here. We cannot take a pipe and say it's 1 inch and then multiply it times 32, because there's 32 units on it, and then multiply that times the base rate. So it's not right. That's just not how it's done.
It can be. There was 2 ways. I was on the computer looking at that.
Well, basically water rates, you can do whatever you want, but it's what's fair. That's my point. You said before, when we first decided to do this, they can do whatever they want with the rates pretty much, however they determine it to be fair. But multi-use units in Naples and Cuyahoga County are not even close to what we're charging. Base rate, no, no, these are not the base rates. Wait a second. No, those are our fixed rates, fixed fees. Anyway.
Do you want me to address the?
Yes, the basic response was, within the utility rate study that was performed, there was a meter equivalency base rate factor that was recommended. It was not accepted by our board. The board entertained a motion to either use the industry standard equivalency, and the industry standard equivalency for a 2-inch meter is no more than 7 base rates. But a motion was made focused on the hotel and the marina, that regardless of the size of the meter, we were going to build the actual number of base rates tied to that meter. And so, for example, one of these outlying buildings here at the hotel, there's a 2-inch meter, and there's 20 hotel units attached to that meter as best as our contractor can determine. And so they are being charged 20, not 7, base rates for every billing cycle.
Are they charging the 20 base rates figured on a 2-inch price based on what the other, well, it shouldn't be, you can't have both.
Yeah, it shouldn't be.
Well, now, I believe it's adjusted. I'm happy to look at the bill. We're not charging them 27 base rates. We're charging them 20 as opposed to the 7 that would otherwise apply.
But again, so.
I'm just telling you that's what the board.
No, I know,
to do.
but so in one time, we disregard the recommendations. We have nothing to back it up. Another time, we have to follow the recommendations on O&Ms.
No, my advice remains, in all cases, you should follow the recommendations of the consultants.
Right.
That's my advice.
So that means this all needs to change. These are all wrong.
I don't think anybody's
concur?
disagreeing.
At least from the base now you have
You received,
Not yet.
you hired a rate consultant. The rate consultant recommended using meter equivalency based on the size of meter.
right.
You all did not agree with that. And my advice is always to use your consultant, and if you cannot convince your consultant otherwise or provide other information to the record, to stick with your consultant.
That's my point, because I think in the long run, what seems to be fair for the county and the city should be fair for us. So I just, like I said, I don't understand how we can have a 2-inch meter that's supposed to be $600, and we're charging them, and not including usage, $6,000. 2-inch, not 2-inch meter, 2-inch line should be $600, and then usage after that.
Oh, well, from what I'm reading, a 2-inch line, like looking at it the old way, you know, you're paying because it's the increased capacity, and who cares what's, you know, how many units type of. Now, if we switch it to how many units, then
We did switch it to
then we've taken that 2-inch line and turned it into 20 small lines within the 2-inch line.
Yes.
So we should be charging them for the smaller line like everybody else.
That's what we are doing. That's how they're ending up with a $6,000 bill instead of a $600 bill,
Well,
not
that's
including usage.
what we're not charging them. I know that the rates for a 2-inch line are bigger, like, let's
It's
say.
$600. I just told you, it's right here. 2-inch line, $613.52.
Okay, so you got, let's just
And
say.
wastewater, same thing, so it's $1,200.
Right.
I made a mistake, it's $1,200 for both, in and out. So we're charging $6,000.
So if you're gonna promote,
I'm not promoting anything, I'm just telling you litigation wise, we're in trouble.
just listen to my story though. Condo buildings, condos, we have meters that come into all our condo buildings.
Right, and you can charge that based on the meter.
Okay, so what if we scrap all those meters and right out where the big pipe comes into the front of the condos, we put one meter in, do one base charge, and we divide it up with 84 condos?
Go ahead,
That'd be cheap to do that.
for all 84 condos. You think that would be cheap?
To do?
Yeah.
All you gotta do is put a meter in on the big pipe where it comes in instead of at the house.
What, you need, what size pipe you gonna use? 6-inch pipe, that's
Okay.
$3,000. So it says here, but we can make this whatever we
Well,
want.
it's cheaper than
You
84.
go put in the 6-inch pipe.
I'm just trying to say, that's what we're looking at, you know, do you
Actually, it's
bill at the
12,000,
door, or do you
6,000.
bill out front? Because if you bill out front, why wouldn't any one of our condo associations put a master meter in and get a fraction of the bill?
You can't make a 500, you cannot convince me that a 500 square foot or less unit is gonna cost the same for water and as my 4,000 square foot house. Can't do it. You convince the community that.
If you really-
You need to get on a soapbox and convince this whole community that a guy that has a 4,000 square foot house should pay the same as somebody that's got a 400 square foot house. Just explain that.
It's based on benefit, isn't it?
A base rate.
Oh, yeah, my benefits,
A base rate's a base rate per door if we go that route. But
no, that's not the route I wanna go.
Oh, yeah, but we can't charge them at the 2
But
inch.
that's what we're doing.
That's what I'm saying, we can't.
Oh, so you agree with
I
me?
agree, that if you
I agree.
charge them per door, then the 2-inch meter is out the door. You've turned that into 20 little meters
Right.
inside the 2-inch pipe.
Right.
So you have to charge them at the smaller pipe price.
No, you don't
I
understand.
have
We
a
already
question.
are trying.
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
We're doing that per meter. We changed to 20 pipes at a 3/4 inch pipe. That's what we did. We already did that. And we have nothing to back that up. No council, no recommendation to back up what we did? Nothing.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Did all these little condos, did they all pay a non-ad valorem fee before?
Hell no. How could they have afforded that?
I'm just asking. I don't know.
Oh,
Did they all pay
no.
non-ad valorem tax before?
Yep.
How
Yes,
much
but all
was it?
separate months.
Read this first paragraph here. Just read the
721.
third, the blue one.
What the audience said was 721 per unit.
Per year?
That's for the entire year, I assume.
That doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Is that the-
So,
That's fair.
because, yeah. So, I mean, I don't think we should be collecting 10 times that.
Well, something's not right.
Something's not right.
And then,
I
you know,
agree.
and then we're telling them that we're gonna cut their water off because they're in arrears and because their bills,
Are you proposing to go to a 0.8 on condos?
yes,
And that would be all condos?
no. All condos greater than 500 square feet.
A 0.8?
Yeah. Less than 500 square feet goes to 0.5, like an RV, like we used to do. It's basically the old system.
0.6.
Well, we upped it from 0.4 to 0.5. But I'm just saying, this
I think we should consider it.
this stuff is just, well, you said the engineer's gonna be getting in on this stuff.
Yes,
But in the meantime,
yes.
these people are being forced by a government to do things they can't afford right now. They don't have that kind of money. They didn't have that in the coffers. It's not like we've got $5 million in the coffers and we can't afford it to sit on it and not charge them any late fees and just wait until this settles out. I mean,
So, what
how many
do you
bills-
propose?
How many bills have you paid already? But-
Right now, my muni bill system that Mr. Neal says is accurate says I owe nothing. It says previous balance,
But,
zero.
okay, but so I've got 1 month's billing here for like 72 units total, or even if it's 84, it's still $30,000. So I mean, I just can't
Or 2 months bill.
it's 2 months, okay, it's 2 months, it's a regular water bill for 2 months. So that's $180,000 a year,
Water and sewer,
water and sewer, $180,000.
irrigation.
And I'm gonna pay
Do
$6,000.
we still have the consultant under contract?
No.
Okay. I'm just, so the immediate, there's an obvious immediate budgeting issue here, but we can straighten this out and do a budget amendment if necessary. I'm just trying to think how to help get, if the majority of the board thinks that something needs to be looked at here, I think the answer is to have the consultant answer that question, which is they were paying $721 per year per unit. Now,
What are you talking, that's O&M, I'm talking
no,
utility.
I'm talking
It's higher on
ERC.
the utility side.
Oh, okay, well, okay, whatever the ERC amount was, we'll give them that number, 14, is that what it is? 1,400?
I think so.
So we share that amount, we can share the amount that they're currently hitting on a base rate.
But you don't understand the history of all this, the reason we came across all these things. You have to look back to what we were doing, the ERUs, the utility charges. Like in this restaurant, they were charged per seat, and they were charged, you know what I mean? It was, it's crazy the way it was. So we were trying to get away from that and make everything uniform. We thought the boats were undercharged. That's why we went we went from, what the hell were they, 0.4
I think.
to 1 base rate?
What I heard from Mr. Truckee though was this concern that the condos could arguably be in a similar position. And so we need help understanding how to distinguish this, because if an 84 unit condo can have a 6-inch meter, that's significantly less in base rate than 84 base rates at 3/4 inch.
But we could, I could handle that. I would
That's what I
just,
want to understand.
well, I would just take that base rate that's right here on a 6-inch meter, which is $6,000, and change it to what I needed it to be.
Well, and I think that's so the consultant is who came up with those numbers, and we need to understand how they came up with those numbers, because if the answer is the condos can feel free to go to a 6-inch street side meter, but the 6-inch charge is 12,000, 14,000, 15,000, whatever the number needs to be, that could potentially resolve and help us.
But that's what we did to these people. We took that 1-inch pipe and we made it.
I completely understand, but what I'm saying is, previously they were not being billed this way. They're now being billed this way, and they're being billed in a way like the condos. However, I'm not so sure that these are condos in that way, from a unit size standpoint, square footage, and all these sort of things. And so we need to get some suggestion from the consultant as to how to fix this, because it sounds like the real problem is that the per meter size base rates are really not adequate to solve the problem. Because if we just switch back to per meter size base rates, then the problem that Mr. Truckee is talking about becomes very difficult. And so what we're currently doing, what I'm hearing from the board is not acceptable. And it's not what the consultant said, which is my only position in this. But what I'm hearing from Mr. Truckee, which I don't think is, it's a good point, is the condos, it's hard to then explain this to the condos. Because the condos are paying individual base rates and could have potentially a 6 or 8 inch master meter in the front.
Well, we had talked about, this came up before because we had talked about giving every one of these little condos their own meter. And then we nixed that and just said, let's just charge them like they have their own meter.
That was a cheaper way to go.
That was a cheaper way to go because it was how much per meter? $1,200 per meter or something, or
Well, it was them having to replumb to take.
Right.
it.
do everything. So we just skipped all that and just said, no, let's just charge them.
Yeah.
So now that that's not, I'm done.
Well, I mean, but I think what we need to understand, we being Neil and I, is how does the board, how do we move this forward? Because obviously, and this has been an ongoing discussion, if the majority of the board feels, I guess first, does a majority of the board feel we need to do something about this? Obviously, you do. Is there 2 more?
Well, I agree that the sudden jump is definitely a concern. But like I'm saying is, if we decide to go door by door, we can't use the 2-inch price of their 2-inch meter. We need to make it the smaller price, as if they were a meter at a house or the condos.
I believe that.
Yes, I agree with that.
But I believe that is what we are doing, and that's still leading to these massive bills. Is that correct? Like, when we drop it down to 1 per, we're not billing them at 2-inch, we're billing them at 3/4, or whatever your lowest entry is. So knowing that we're already doing that, is there an interest in reevaluating this process?
Yes.
That's 2.
If the way we're charging that, if we extrapolated that out to every single unit, we'd be taking in $2 million just for base rates. I mean, that's rough calculation. That's, don't hold me to these things. That's
Okay.
If there's 72 units,
72 units? Like I said, we went to this type billing because we got rid of non-ad valorem, so we can't go below non-ad valorem.
84, right?
86.
86, that's the number I told you.
yeah, she told me 72. And I count.
So we have
Okay,
86
so if
plus
you
the
take
hotel.
if you take 256, which is the water and the sewer of your bill or my bill, and then multiply it times 72, that's 18,432, which is what their 2-month bill should be.
How much?
18,432 for the base rate, not consumption.
1,800
18,432
per month.
for 2 months, per bill. 72 times 256.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's close. That's close. She's got a bill here for like 20 or 30. I'm sorry. 8, 8.5, 11.2,
So
10.6. So
if
say
you-
30.
Yeah, but if you took 72
That's
times,
double what you're saying.
exactly, it's 256 is what a regular pipe going into, as Dan says, a condo, a house, a unit. One whatever it is, the
Right.
cheapest price, the 3/4 inch pipe. It's what I've got in mind.
Right.
It's 256 for water and sewer.
Right.
If you multiply 256 times 72, that should be 18,432. So where's the 30,000 coming from?
Right here, that's what I'm telling you.
They must be
There might
billing
be
it at 2
mistakes.
inch.
There could be mistakes on there.
Or a mistake, yeah.
Oh, but she's been getting billed since October and been bitching about it, and we haven't done anything about it. I mean, that's every month.
Right.
It's almost, not quite double, but it's like 80% of what it,
Our condos, we have 84 doors.
Right.
Times, well, it's a $200 rate now since June.
Right, yeah.
Okay, so 200 every 2 months times six bills a year comes out to 101,000 for our condo association. All right, her condo association has 2 more units than ours does, so her bill comes out to like $103,000 or $4,000 per year for those 86 condos. It's what everyone else is paying. Now I know that's a lot to them, right? Because they were getting a steal on water before and sewer.
But yeah, but we're not retroactive. We're not retroactive.
I still have a question. We changed the water bill. We changed it on ad valorem
Run out of place to put it.
Oh.
to be the water bill. So
Well, like I
we need
said,
to
we've
look
got
at
no
everything.
counsel, we've got no consultant to back up what we're doing. So we gotta hash this out.
Your proposal is to go to a 0.6?
No, my proposal is to do what the county does and the city does.
The county does some of this multi-meter based on units.
Right.
residential units.
I talked to this Anna or whatever the heck her name is at the county, and they have many multi-units, and they charge based on the size of the pipe. That's it. It's a meter that charges based on the size of the pipe, and then consumption. And if there's sub-unit meters on there, the sub-unit meters cannot be charged more than the total base rate for the pipe.
Well, that makes sense, because it'd be 1 unit.
Right, so each unit then pays for usage.
Right.
We're not doing that.
Yeah, I don't have the original study, but the original study equivalency for a 2-inch meter, I believe, was 7 base rates. It was either 7 or 9,
7 or 8.
So we jumped it to 20.
because that was the motion that passed.
I get that. Again, we have no consult to back that up.
What-
So you guys,
The part that I argued this, and I said it.
I don't care
earlier-
if you argue it, you have no consult to back it up.
Well, in the beginning of the meeting, yes, we did. All right, this used to be part of a hotel, and when you get into the commercial meters and a 2-inch meter serves X amount of units, we use that for commercial. If somebody built a factory right here and they put a 6-inch meter there, we go, okay, we charge that factory whatever base rate 6-inch meter is, okay? When it used to be a hotel, all those units belonged to the hotel. It was a commercial unit with large meters. All right, and they got the commercial rate because it was an individual living thing, or lots. Right now, you have individual living units that were sold out separately.
So what are you doing with the hotel?
Individual owners.
So what are you doing with the hotel then? How are you doing with the hotel?
The hotel is broke up into a bunch of
No,
different-
just this hotel.
It's broke up into a lot of different ways. When Shukar broke that up, he broke it up, the association owns the bathrooms, somebody owns, this is broke up the dining room different.
Every 2 years, it's the same. Nothing has changed. Shukar didn't do it, no one did it.
So
It's
every-
94 units,
I think for-
transient
Yeah.
facility, hotel/condo.
If you're gonna,
94 total.
okay, but still, we're, right now,
Nothing's changed. I don't know what he's saying has changed. Here's villas. This is the bill for villas. Here's a bill for, what do you call this one? Condo. Here's a bill for efficiencies. This is all 94 units, 86 residential, condo, hotel, whatever you want to call it. Here's his muni billing system. We just got it. $16,000. Here, previous balance, zero. You're saying I didn't pay the bill, but your system
How do
and
you
your
say-
company's saying I paid it. the whole thing is messed up. So all you're billing me for, I can't even go online for
Okay,
these two.
okay, I get it.
This goes with this.
Yolanda, I'm mad enough for you. Okay, so.
This goes with this. These two are, they don't even know where these go. They're
Well,
in the
that's what-
cloud. The
that's what-
iCloud.
So we
Okay, I'm
need
done.
to find out what the meters are for, because we're doing basically a one on the hotel also. So that's 13 rooms are all at one. So whatever that is, we're charging every single room a base rate. A room, not a door, a room. It's basically the same as what we're doing with the O&M. I don't think that's right either, but he's not here to argue it. I couldn't get I tried to get Tom's water bill, but I couldn't seem to get it.
He gets a separate, I think he has two separate accounts. I think he has
The
one
hotel
for
bill
the
is separate.
hotel.
I know, I can't, that's why I have nothing to go on.
So we're double paying because we're paying for Tom on this bill.
Well, that's what I'm trying to find out. I don't know how we can do anything when we don't know what meter is associated with what account. And right now, we don't know that. We got meters out there that we don't know who's paying the bill, what accounts are associated with the meter. So, I mean,
So let's get a meeting together and try and solve it at the
I'm
meeting.
only gonna be here 10 more days and I'm gone, so I don't know what to tell you. Somebody else is gonna have to take over my argument. But this has gotta be squared away or we're gonna get screwed in the long run.
So multi-units in a county setting, right? You talked about the county.
Yep.
So apartment complex comes to mind. It would have a multimeter for a lot of different units, but they're not individually owned.
Are you talking
So
an
this-
actual unit or a sub-meter? There's a
Talking about
difference.
the meter. A meter that would, let's say, run to an apartment complex. You could have 200 apartments in there and it's gonna have a couple of meters that are, who knows, 4 or 6 inch,
I
whatever.
think what Dan's saying is his warehouse concept. Got a warehouse, got a 6-inch pipe coming in, they're running a bunch of machines, whatever. The warehouse closes down, they put loft apartments in it, do a change of use. Now everybody's building individually if they're buying the lofts individually.
Right, and if there's
One
individual-
guy owns it and then rents them all out as apartments, it's still commercial.
If there's, then you put individual meters on it.
Well,
You do that from the beginning, you don't do it after the fact, you can't do it now, that's what we talked about that. We said each one should have its own meter, but we didn't do it. So make up your mind, do you want to put a meter on every unit or you do not?
You don't have to. You can
Yeah.
do the individual billing without going to individual units. It talks about that in the county. I just pulled it up. I showed you that.
Well, you need to go down and talk to Amy, because that's not what she told me. Because every sub-unit cannot exceed the base rate of the size of the pipe.
And it shouldn't, or it shouldn't either.
Well, then what are we arguing about?
So if Neil says that the base rate for a 2-inch pipe is 7 and we're charging them
20.
20, then we need to adjust that.
No. Because
See?
the individual
Well-
units.
Well, the max is the
It
max.
comes down to the equivalent units on the pipe. And you can look it up. I've been through it online numerous times. All right, so if there's 20 units on a pipe, they're getting charged for 20 units. We could make them put individual units.
That's not what she told me to
On
tell me
each
there.
one of those, all right, we could do that, but we don't. We have a commercial rate. If all those units were back owned by the hotel, right, under one ownership, if Tom owned everything here, it's a business. All right, now you look at, for businesses, we look at the size meter, because those aren't individually owned, they all belong to the business. All right, at that point, it's a business. If they have 2-inch meters and 4 of them, they get charged 4 times, what is it, 2-inch meters? 8, 7 residential units or whatever. All right, it wouldn't matter if they had 86 units, it's all the hotel, it's a business. When you sell these out individually, and they have a separate tax ID parcel and separate owners, all right, now each one's their own parcel. Even if they're under the same meter, it's looked at differently. It's looked at by the parcel, and you can take a 2-inch meter and divide it up by the number of individual parcels that are served off that 2-inch meter.
Okay, if the county could do this, right? If anybody could do this, why would they allow a hotel, a brand new hotel, Wood Spring Suites down on 951? Why would they let them come in? Why wouldn't they just put in a pipe and say, we're only paying this? When you work it out per room, it's $47 every 2 months.
Because it's
That's the base
a
rate.
hotel is not individually owned units, it's a business.
Oh my God.
It's a
Yeah,
business.
yeah, but my point is, they can do whatever they want, like you're saying. They could put an individual meter on each hotel and then charge the hotel base rate for every single room.
They're not separately owned businesses or units, they're not houses, they're not separately owned living units.
Well,
A hotel isn't a
if
living unit.
if we have this is for you, if we have a meeting or we have a discussion and somebody says no and everybody else says yes, and because we don't have a consult or anything, is that person exempt from being sued if we get sued as a total group? How's a question like that? Because I'm not going to stay on the board if we don't follow the
The
consultant.
board may act in its business judgment. Typically, boards are not individually liable for their policy decisions. My suggestion here is even though you two are disagreeing as to the core concept, I don't know that you're disagreeing that it should be looked at in some way. Maybe you are disagreeing. If you're not disagreeing about that.
No, it should be looked at. There's no question.
Then I think we have the consultants the consultant should watch this discussion. This is recorded. They need to watch this discussion, and they need to and we need to come up with a way to understand how to bridge this gap. Because there strikes me as a couple ways to bridge this gap, and one way to bridge this gap is to change the equivalency amounts. Because if you change the equivalency amounts, you're going to get closer to between the two of you.
Well, we can change the equivalency amounts and then jack up the water rates. It's the only way you're going to cover the expenses. You have to jack up the water rates.
You can do both of these things. And I think a global discussion that sort of started several meetings ago is, and it came with this idea of reducing the base rate, is if you move more of the cost into the actual gallonage usage, a lot of these problems start to fade away. Because if it's mostly being paid for in gallonage, then it's just truly being paid for by the users.
Yeah.
And so regardless of whether this is one unit is 20 units or an equivalent 7, it is using X amount of gallons. And we know exactly how many gallons it's using. That part is unquestionable. And so if maybe what the consultant needs to be told is we need to get further away from this base rate. Because the base rate is proving to be extremely difficult to operate for the district from an equity standpoint. And so if we can get more towards a gallonage basis, maybe this conversation isn't so difficult. Because if the base rate plummets and goes down to...
Yeah, but the base rate isn't that low
No, I'm saying it would
for
be...
Naples City, it's $151. That's the base rate.
No, I understand that we don't...
For 2 months.
So we're above that amount.
I know.
And I'm saying, and I'm not saying that we're not looking at the jurisdictions. We're trying to get low enough in the base rate that the fight goes away because it's in the gallon. We know there's a couple of things that cannot be argued. We know how much it costs to run the system every year. It's just a fact, right? And then the other thing that cannot be argued is how many gallons every person uses. That is also a fact, and those two facts go together nicely because your job is to efficiently run the system, and the users get to control how much gallons they use. Those two things are hard to argue with. So the more we can put this on the gallonage, I think a lot of this starts to melt away and becomes less consequential because, and it's understandable to me that we're in this position because we're coming off of a model where we didn't really pay much attention to gallonage at all. We're coming off a model where we were doing this on a tax bill and we had these really low gallonage amounts. So while I appreciate and understand that there's significant frustration and concerns of inequity and unfairness, we're trying to transition here. And we're trying to get to something that's more fair. But I think what that needs, in order for us to do the good faith trying, is I think we need to get Raftelis back on board, that's your rate consultant, to address this issue. And the pointed questions are, can we move more to the gallonage? Can we reassess the meter size equivalencies? Or what is his answer to this question? Why is it fair that the hotel pay X, the hotel condo pay X, but a condo building is paying Y? It's a fair question. I think that the shock that's happening in this room is because the condos were already doing this, so they don't even think about this, and the hotel was not. So it's very understandable that the hotel is shocked by this. Whether it's fair, I'm not sure. I would agree that a hotel condo unit is a very different kind of unit. It's a very different kind of price point. There's a lot of things that go into this. But as we know in other equivalencies, we don't necessarily analyze that because, for example, a 1,500 square foot house and a 6,000 square foot house are also very different price points, and yet we're pretty much handling that's not really a distinction we make. And so it is it's hard, but I think what is not hard is we know how much it costs to run the system, and you can control how many gallons you use.
We started to do that last meeting when we went down to.
When we pulled the base rate back.
We pulled the base rate back and we said if we needed to make up any monies, we'll make it up in the gallonage. All right?
Yeah, but the people,
And that was a step in the right direction, I agree with you.
but if we made a mistake, and it's been going on for months, how do you credit that?
We can settle through the mistakes. I mean, I expect what's going to happen here is we're going to have to negotiate this to a settlement, is my expectation. But what is more important right now is we need to get the consultant on this because we need to have an answer. And I don't think, and Neil's right, we cannot rush. We can't let budget deadlines push up against the wall. We can amend the budget. We need to get to the end. This dispute has to be resolved because it's not. Neither of you are wrong. This dispute is a real dispute, and I think if we can get to, and it's a policy. So to your question about individual liability, this is a policy question. The board is allowed to use its business judgment to make policy decisions. We need to find out how to get the consultant to address this point. It's a very simple point, and the answer may just be just radically change the gallonage structure and to radically drop the base rate, and that may make everybody calm way down. But even that will upset people because it's going to change. Some people are using way more water than they realize, but at the end of the day, it is, and your utility operator can confirm this. Incentivizing less use is better for your system, just period. And so my recommendation would be to, if Neil could get Raftellus engaged, I'd be more than happy to have a conversation. I think Raftellus, whoever the consultant is, needs to speak directly, obviously separately because it's sunshine law, to both of you to get your take on what the problem is, so they can come to a board meeting that you're both at. So it needs to be when you're back. I don't know what to do about that, but
You know, we've been
I spoke
dealing with this for 2 years. Last time we came to the same time and we were arguing over this same crap.
no, I'm going to push
About
back
the
on that a
bills.
little bit. We came back.
Not with
last
you guys. I don't know if you even know if it was you. I mean, it
was
started a
us.
long time ago.
Yeah,
but we had the time before that even. I mean,
Okay.
so it was.
It's a long process, but what I'm aware of is last year you did make a substantial shift, and this is us reacting to the shift. These things take time to react to. I understand that the district has been trying to figure out this for a much longer time than I'm aware of. I get that, but at the end of the day, and the tricky part about this, and why the district is always going to aim too high, is because we have to be able to run the system. And so we can't, if we undershoot this and we can't run the system, we have a totally different problem. And it's a very significant problem.
Well, we've got money in the coffers right now, and I know he's got all these grants coming through, and we still have what, $5 million? $5 million sitting there. So I just don't like putting the burden on these people that can't pay.
And we're
They can't just not pay anything. And so why don't they pay their old amount?
Yeah, but it's already double what we
Doesn't matter.
figured.
Let them pay what they used to be paying.
But you say it doesn't matter, but it does matter because they don't have the money in the coffers. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah, but you're not listening to what I'm
They
saying.
don't have $5 million in the bank.
I'm not
like we do.
saying 5 million. I'm not saying 30,000. I'm saying whatever they were accustomed to paying before all this changed.
That was nothing,
They were paying no water bill?
very cheap.
Very minimal because
Well, it was
everybody was paying that $1,400 a year on the tax
On the
bill to
tax bill.
subsidize this stuff.
68
well, there
gallons.
still was usage, but that was our water rates were low.
Well,
They
they have
have
to
to change-
consider
I
that they
changed them once.
were subsidized through the tax. So they gotta figure what they were subsidized through the tax. And what Neil's point is paying nothing's not a good idea. They could get their water shut off. But if they were paying something,
But they've already paid something.
okay, if they've already paid something.
How many months? So there would be October, November
Okay.
paid, right? November, December paid,
If they pay.
January, February paid, and now they're out of money because each time they paid, they were paying 1.8 times what they were figuring on.
So they
So-
have
so-
paid then?
She just had a zero up there.
Yeah, I wouldn't
Zero
make that up.
happens,
If they
zero.
subsequently.
I heard him say they canceled their credit
They
card then
canceled
after
the
they
credit
paid.
card.
Yeah, but that was just the last one. That's, I mean, they're out of money already. I mean, if
I'm
they
just
already,
getting to the facts.
they already paid 3 cycles
Okay,
are paid, but they paid double what they were supposed to pay.
I'm with you.
Excuse me, I didn't cancel it. He put me on an auto pay.
Don't worry.
I can't, hey, I can't put you on auto pay.
Well, it wasn't on auto pay.
I don't deal with any credit card information at all.
Just,
If your property manager signs you up for auto pay,
I am the property manager.
I'm just saying, I never put you on auto pay. That's something that
I
you
know
will
you go off this job.
We're losing the meeting.
All right, but I don't understand why they're separating and
Well,
telling
You
me.
can't be talking from
What's
back
the
there.
place?
Can't be talking from back there. Yeah.
Why do they keep separating? Why is the lawyer saying it's the hotel and the condo? It's one place. Where are you having two places?
The lawyer didn't say any of those things?
You just said there's two establishments, the hotel and the condo,
When did I say?
yeah, single family.
just
Yeah.
5 minutes ago.
I was basing it all on that.
You said, what did you call it? You said it was a hotel,
No, I was talking
Oh my
about
God,
condos,
that's-
like, the other condos.
The other condos.
Yes, not this one.
okay,
I did
but they keep saying separating it.
Stop, please stop talking. We
This
need
is out of control.
minutes, and so we need to talk one at a time.
I have to leave.
We have a board member that has to leave. Before you leave, please get an understanding of the flow through here. You were gone until when?
I wish I could tell you. I'm probably gone at least maybe till October.
Okay, and but you can appear at things?
Yes.
Okay, so is it does the board want Neil to re-engage Raftellus so we can address this?
Yes.
I think I can, but I don't want to create wishful thinking because I don't know if he can develop a hybrid sort of system. The base rate was intended to replace the former tax subsidy. And I think he's going to circle back just like Russ has circled back, and he's going to say, I think you ought to stick with the industry standard for the size of the meter and not the actual number being served. I don't know that for a fact, but I can at least explore that with them.
All right.
I spoke with him. He said the board did not go with his recommendation when they voted.
No one is.
So-
That company.
So the only other thing is, it just doesn't just involve them. It involves the marina.
It involves a lot of people.
Anything that has a multi-metered line, it's gonna affect.
We're about to have one.
So,
So the board's consensus was to re-engage Raftellus, right? Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay, and well, I understand we're not trying to create wishful thinking. I want to make sure, and I think it's important that Raftellus review this discussion to understand the various points of view here, and then we can react to that. You can participate remotely as long as we have to be in person. And then we will schedule I understand that we're still going to roll back the base rate as discussed, and we're maybe picking up a second meeting at the end of July to capture that O&M piece separately from this. Just want to make sure before you leave.
yeah. Well, there's things that you have to know too that we don't have specifically. Like I couldn't find a specific number of units. I found online that it said there was 809 billing sites. But that's 809 meters maybe. But I didn't, the totals, because I came up with 924 charges with only 809 meters, or actually I came up with basically 700.
There are
724.
should be more charges right now than there are meters.
Oh, there's way more charges than meters. That's the problem with that bill. But
I have a question. What are you going to
For
do
who?
about I guess for everybody. We don't want the condos to be shut off. So what are we going to do about that?
well, yeah, exactly.
I mean, we can't
Makes sense.
end the meeting and, are they going to give us a down payment or I don't know. What are they going to do? What do we want them to do?
I mean, they've already paid half the year, and they paid half the year at 1.8 instead of where they should have been. It's
Okay,
basically
so
the way
we're
I see
saying,
it.
so we're not gonna shut them
So
off
if
because
they
they're
paid a
not
little
paying.
bit more, they'll get paid for the year.
Yeah, they didn't budget to reflect the new rate structure.
Yes, we
So-
did. We increased, doubled it.
Let's just make sure we don't turn it off.
Well,
How do we
if
do that?
can, you know, yeah, we can do that, if that's the consensus of the board, and if in fact that account is delinquent. If they subsequently paid it through their management company, then that would have occurred after I was advised that the credit card payment was canceled. And if we're going to
Okay.
try to, 2 weeks from today, I'll take that under advisement and confirm what I said. We'll reach out to the consultant to see if he is available in advance to respond to the issue or suggest an alternative.
And the only other thing, you know, I hear you say.
In addition, based off the board's discussion earlier today, the June and July bills are going to be adjusted to reduce the base rate to $100 bi-monthly.
Yes.
And those bills will be mailed or received on or about August the 15th.
You mean $200 bi-monthly?
For both.
Yes.
For both?
$100 for water, $100 for wastewater. All right?
I realize this is a mess,
Okay.
but I know people in Naples, and their minimum monthly bill for single-family residents is in excess of $450.
Yeah, mine runs about $370.
Yeah, so, anyway,
As soon as he leaves, we no longer have a quorum, so the meeting will be adjourned. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second? We'll advise all in favor? We'll
now, is this an adjournment or are you doing an
If you leave,
extension?
the meeting's over because
We're going to
you're the
renotice the
quorum.
meeting for the 30th.
You're the quorum, three.
What is?
Oh, sorry, I gotta go.
But you said that at the beginning.
Okay.